Chapter 395. Wuxia is pregnant. Revealing second-rank talisman making. _1. At the Lu residence's back courtyard, the training ground. This is a low-grade attack talisman. Activate it with your true chi, then shoot it towards the target. Lu Chongqing took out a stack of talismans, letting his son Lu Pingon get acquainted with their use. Since the child was going to travel far, as a father, he naturally prepared some self-defense measures. This was also one of the reasons he had Lu Pingon break through to Martial Dao Innate before leaving. Once Martial Dao Innate is achieved, a martial artist's true chi can also activate first-grade, middle-grade, and low-grade talismans. Yes, Dad. After hearing this, Lu Pingon took a fire bullet talisman and activated it with his true chi. Instantly, the talisman transformed into a fire bullet and shot towards the iron target ahead. With a bang, the iron target melted from the hit of the fire bullet. Hiss, such formidable power. If I were to be hit by this fire bullet, I fear I'd turn to ash. Lu Pingon was surprised at the fire bullet's power. His eyes filled with shock. He knew cultivators were very formidable, but he had never seen a cultivator's methods before. Now seeing the power of a simple talisman, he couldn't help but be astonished. That's why when you're out and about, if you encounter a cultivator, you must be extremely careful. If you meet a cultivator and there's no mortal enmity, you can also mention Qingzhou Mountain's name, Lu Chongqing said. Although Qingzhou Mountain was only a foundation establishment family, such cultivation families still held a certain reputation and prestige in the secular world. Just like before, Hong Yi had also heard of Qingzhou Mountain's renown. Dad, I understand. Lu Pingon nodded earnestly. This is a fire cloud talisman. You must be very careful when using this talisman. Otherwise, it's easy to injure yourself. This is a rejuvenation insignia. If you're injured, you can use the rejuvenation insignia to stop the bleeding and heal wounds. This is a wooden shield talisman, which can transform into a wooden shield for defense. This is a windwalking talisman. If you encounter danger, you can use it on yourself or on your horse to speed up. These types of talismans belong to the defensive and assistance category. They won't hurt you, so you don't need to be so cautious. Lu Chongqing informed his son about the remaining types of talismans and reminded him to remember their effects. Dad, these many talismans, aren't they very expensive? Lu Pingon, seeing the thick stack of talismans his father had, probably 40 or 50 sheets, asked. Although he didn't understand much about cultivation, he occasionally interacted with those involved in that world and knew that cultivation materials were very precious. Have you forgotten that your dad is a talisman master? Lu Chongqing gave his son a tap on the head. After Lu Pingon practiced using each kind of talisman and understood their effects, Lu Chongqing handed him several vials and pots. They contained elixirs for healing wounds, recharging energy, among others. Although they were nothing to cultivators, they were all treasures within the secular world. This pendant has a calming and protective effect. Remember, if this pendant activates automatically, you must run away immediately. Understand? This soft armor is impenetrable by blade or spear, and it also has a protective effect. Remember to wear it against your skin at all times. Lu Chongqing then took out 2 magic artifacts. These 2 artifacts were also carefully selected from those he had acquired at the Red Leaf Valley Market before. He didn't give more, not because he was reluctant to do so. One reason was to not attract attention. These 2 artifacts could be worn on the body without others easily noticing. Moreover, most magic artifacts required mana to activate. Martial artists simply couldn't employ magic artifacts. Having these 2 was enough. Thank you, Dad. Lu Pingon looked at the purple jade pendant and the silkworm soft armor in front of him, his face showing joy. I don't need to elaborate the principle of not showing wealth, right? Lu Chongqing spoke out. Dad, rest assured. I understand these things. Lu Pingon used a nod to convey his understanding. Let's go. Let's pick out a good horse at your Uncle Hong's, Lu Chongqing said to his son. They then went to the Rui Marquis mansion, where he caught up and chatted with Hong Yi. He talked about his son Lu Pingon and also about his son Lu Wuyu, asking Hong Yi to make arrangements. Hearing these words, Hong Yi naturally agreed to each request with pleasure. After staying in Rui Prefecture for more than half a month, sorting out various family matters, Lu Chongqing finally took Bai Ling back to Qingzhou Mountain. 2 months later, Red Leaf Valley Market. Inside a cave dwelling, Lu Chongqing and Xiao Xia finished dual cultivation. Pop! Xiao Xia rose and sat cross-legged, her visage cool, pure, majestic, and utterly sacred. Her ice-fleshed and jade-boned figure, with undertones of rosiness, looked like a fairy's form, a perfectly crafted work of art, too beautiful for words, bathed in a faint moonlight glow. Her graceful and elegant composure was filled with a holy air. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing knew that Xiao Xia's Dao Foundation flaw had been perfected through his efforts and was now flawless. At that moment, with the Dao Foundation restored, a mysterious transformation had started happening to it, beginning to evolve. He sat quietly by her side, waiting for Xiao Xia to awaken. Time passed slowly. Half a month later, the long-lashed, meditating Xiao Xia fluttered her eyelids and slowly opened her cool moon-like eyes. Chongqing? Seeing Lu Chongqing in front of her, her eyes immediately softened. Xiyu, congratulations? Lu Chongqing said with a faint smile, sensing the subtle changes in her aura, aware that her Dao Foundation had evolved. It's all thanks to Lu Lang. Xiao Xia's eyes brimmed with happiness, her gaze tender and joyful. A Dao Foundation is the basis of one's cultivation. The more robust the Dao Foundation, the further one can go in the future. Now, not only was her Tai-Yin mysterious Moon Dao Foundation flawlessly repaired, it had also experienced a mysterious change under the baptism of the Yin-Yang energies, advancing even further. Chapter 396. Xiao Xia is pregnant, revealing second-rank talisman making. Naturally, it filled her with unparalleled joy. Hee, this is our joint effort. Lu Chongqing smiled. Then, curious, he asked, Xiyu, what transformation has your Dao Foundation undergone? My Dao Foundation is now known as the Lunar Primordial Spirit Foundation. It allows me to absorb and refine nature's spiritual energy at an increased rate. And I can consume my origin source to transform nature's spiritual energy into lunar mana for my own replenishment. Xiao Xia spoke out, describing the effects of her Dao Foundation's transformation. The increased rate of absorbing and refining nature's spiritual energy, and the ability to consume the origin source to transform nature's spiritual energy into lunar mana. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing nodded his head. He knew this effect sounded simple, but it was astonishing. The speed of absorbing and refining nature's spiritual energy improved both Xiao Xia's cultivation speed and recovery rate. And converting nature's spiritual energy into lunar mana meant that in times of crisis, when mana was low, she could replenish it quickly. After all, not all cultivators were like him, with a profound origin bead at their side, free to use mana as they pleased. Most cultivators had to consider their mana consumption on a regular basis. Between two cultivators of the same rank, the one with deeper and more enduring mana would have a greater advantage. Not bad. It seems much more powerful than my Yin-Yang 5 Elements Foundation base. Lu Chongqing said cheerfully. How could it compare to Lu Lang? Xiao Xia leaned her pretty head against Lu Changsheng's chest and whispered softly. Indeed, after its transformation, her Dao Foundation produced remarkable effects. But to her, the effects of Lu Changsheng's Dao Foundation, which could repair someone else's Dao Foundation, were even more astonishing. Xiyu, what are your plans next? Lu Chongqing inquired of Xiao Xia. From their previous conversation, he knew Xiao Xia had come down the mountain on an approved mission for external experience. She couldn't stay out forever. Now that her Dao Foundation's cracks were mended, she was likely preparing to return to the sect. Xiao Xia was holding Lu Changsheng's slender and jade-like palm, comparing the sizes of their hands. Upon hearing this, she lifted her pretty head and, with a pitiable look, said, Is Lu Lang finding me bothersome, wanting to send me away? I never said that. I'd actually prefer you to stay by my side forever. Lu Chongqing said with a light chuckle, sniffing the fragrance from Xiao Xia's hair. Humph. Xiao Xia let out a coquettish grunt, her fair cheeks blushing as she spoke softly. Lu Lang, wouldn't it be nice if she bore you a child? What? Lu Chongqing was taken aback, thinking he had heard wrong. But he immediately guessed Xiao Xia's thoughts. Did she feel that she couldn't repay the favor and wanted to have his child as compensation? Shiyu, there's no need for that. Lu Chongqing frowned slightly. He did fancy the idea of having a few children with Xiao Xia. See what the children's spiritual root talent would be. But feelings develop over time. After so many years together, they had built quite a relationship. To bear children simply to repay a debt of gratitude, he was unwilling to do so. Moreover, a child and the child's mother were things he could distinguish between. It's not about repaying Lu Lang's favor with this. I just genuinely want to have a child with Lu Lang. That way, even if Shiyu is gone in the future, this child can stay by Lu Lang's side. Xiao Xia pursed her lips and spoke softly, sharing her thoughts. Back in Qingyun Market, Lu Chongqing had jokingly said if she felt bad, they should have a few children. After hearing that, the idea planted itself in her heart and started to grow. Gradually, she began to feel there was sense in what Lu Chongqing had said. Have a child to commemorate their relationship. If she were gone, the child would remain by Lu Changsheng's side for companionship. As for concerns about leaving and the child lacking a mother, she had come to terms with it. Firstly, with Lu Chongqing around, the child would surely not be bullied. Additionally, it wasn't as if she would sever all ties with Lu Chongqing and leave after giving birth. Only when preparing to attempt core formation would she need to truly penetrate the void of delusions and forget all attachments. She would still get to watch the child grow up. Furthermore, after all her experiences, she came to believe that forgetting all attachments didn't necessarily mean completely abandoning love and affection. Shiyu, if you have a child, won't your master blame you? Lu Chongqing voiced his concern. Having a child was an affair that wasn't too problematic for female cultivators, though it still had significant impacts. 3 months into pregnancy, cultivation would become nearly impossible. In the later stages, it would affect their cultivation level, leaving them in a weakened state. And after giving birth, they'd need to recover their vital energy for about a year or so. While the impact might seem negligible, for cultivators, the nature of this was different. After all, the prime age for giving birth is also the best age for cultivation. If they have several children, that time could be considered wasted. It would require much effort to make up for the lost time. And Lu Chongqing felt her master would blame her for a simple reason. The relationship between a master and disciple in this world was very intimate, like that of parents. Any parent seeing their child with a promising future suddenly have a baby might feel discontent, especially within an immortal sect like Qingyun sect. This was not just about having a child, but also about the disciple's heart for cultivation and worldly attachments. Well, just keep it a secret from my master, Xiao Xia said, her eyes downcast and her voice slightly guilty. She didn't dare let her master, Yun Wanshang, know about this matter. After all, she had previously sworn adamantly that she could break free from all ties with Lu Chongqing. Chapter 397. If Master knew how deep I've fallen, that I'm even having a child with Lu Chongqing, I dare not even imagine what she would do. Even if Master dotes on me, she would probably be furious. Hee. What if your master finds out? Lu Chongqing looked at Xiao Xie with a smile and said, Humph. If you don't want to, then forget it. Xiao Xie retorted with a snort. It took her a great deal of courage to say these words. After so many years of anticipation, she had waited until the day her Dao foundation was fully repaired to tell Lu Chongqing. Willing? I'm naturally willing. Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly, leaned down gently, and captured Xiao Xie's lips. Now that she had expressed her feelings so clearly, he had no reservations anymore. Having a child, it would add yet another bond between him and Xiao Xie, another concern. In the following time, Lu Chongqing spent most of his days in the Hongya marketplace, devoting himself to Xiao Xie. Perhaps because both were foundation establishment cultivators, getting pregnant was much more difficult. After over a month of effort without any reaction, having no other choice, Lu Chongqing had to resort to his secret technique, the 5 aggregates proliferation method. This secret method could be practiced by men to increase the likelihood of pregnancy. Women could also practice it to boost their chances. Both partners cultivating together would naturally double the effect. Chongqing, I think I'm pregnant. And so, after another month of effort, Xiao Xie felt the signs of pregnancy and happily told Lu Chongqing, "We're pregnant." At her words, delight immediately shone on Lu Changsheng's face. Xiao Xie had a 4th-grade spiritual root and a moonlight spirit body and was also a foundation establishment cultivator. He too was a foundation establishment cultivator with a 5th-grade spiritual root and a Gengjin spirit body. Under such conditions, the chances were high that the child would be extraordinarily talented. Therefore, regarding the child in Xiao Xie's womb, he couldn't help but harbor some expectations. He looked forward to the child bringing them surprises. Very good. Xiu, take extra care of yourself from now on. Is there anything in particular you want to eat? Lu Chongqing said warmly. I know. Seeing Lu Chongqing so happy and excited, Xiao Xie couldn't help but show a slightly annoyed smile on her gorgeous face. She thought to herself that Lu Chongqing truly loved children. Normally, when they were together, she seldom saw him so thrilled and excited. Afterward, Lu Chongqing spent some time chatting with Xiao Xie, mentioning some prenatal care tips. He took her out of the cave dwelling to stroll around the streets and relax. After all, now that she was pregnant, maintaining both physical and mental health was a must. As a 2nd-rank talisman master, it's about time I made it known. After spending time with Xiao Xie, Lu Chongqing considered his progress in talisman making. He felt that the time was about right. Now that Xiao Xie was pregnant, he would need to devote more thought to this matter, and there was no point in delaying any further. Being a 2nd-rank talisman master would make acting more convenient. Soon after, Lu Chongqing went to the Lu family's spiritual talisman shop. After a chat with Lu Miaoge and some conversation, he entered the talisman room and began crafting talismans. After a long while, Lu Chongqing stepped out of the talisman room with a newly crafted 2nd-rank talisman in hand, a look of excitement and joy on his face. Sister Miaoge, I did it! I've successfully crafted a 2nd-rank talisman, Lu Chongqing stated. His face lit up with joy and excitement. He handed the 2nd-rank talisman he held to Lu Miaoge for inspection. A 2nd-rank talisman? Chongqing, you've succeeded. Lu Miaoge, her delicate and gentle features first stunned, then lit up with excitement too. She had always kept an eye on Lu Changsheng's progress in talisman crafting. Knowing that he was just one step away from becoming a 2nd-rank talisman master, she believed fervently that he could take that step. But hearing now that Lu Chongqing had advanced to a 2nd-rank talisman master still felt surreal, causing an irrepressible excitement and joy. After all, the difference between 1st grade and 2nd rank was like a chasm vast as that between chi refinement and foundation establishment. Now, having crossed this chasm and ascending from 1st grade to 2nd-rank talisman master, how could she, his wife, not be thrilled? Chongqing, I always knew you could do it, that you would make it. Lu Miaoge looked at Lu Chongqing with sparkling eyes, full of tenderness and love. This time was just a fluke. But I believe, with time, I will be able to fully master this 2nd-rank thunder fire talisman. Lu Chongqing spoke, his voice carrying a hint of confidence. He, too, considered himself somewhat accomplished by now. If he kept being too modest, always speaking of luck, it would seem fake. Yes, I believe you can do it, Chongqing. I'll go and inform the family head, 4th elder, and our ancestors about this news, Lu Miaoge said excitedly. Advancing to 2nd-rank talisman master was an event that would merit a celebration for the whole Qingzhou Mountain. I'll return to Qingzhou Mountain in a few days, so I'll tell Grandma myself when the time comes, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. He could imagine the 4th elder's feelings upon hearing about his promotion to 2nd-rank talisman master. The old man had always believed in him and eagerly anticipated the day he would become a 2nd-rank talisman master. All right, it is best for you to tell Grandma in person. Lu Miaoge nodded, her face still beaming with happiness. She also knew that the fourth elder would be overjoyed to hear the news. Once she calmed her emotions, she began examining the second-rank Thunder Fire Talisman in Lu Changsheng's hands. The lines on the talisman were not as smoothly executed as they could be, and the spiritual power was a bit unstable, making it seem slightly rough. But it was indeed a genuine second-rank talisman. Lu Miaoga held it in her hands, examining it over and over. The more she looked, the happier she became. Seeing his wife so, Lu Chongqing felt a deep satisfaction in his heart. Chapter 398. Grand Ceremony Celebration. Promoted to 4th grade spiritual root. _1. 3 days later, Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoga returned to Qingzhou Mountain. Husband, sister Miaoga. Dad, mom, auntie. Seeing Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoga return, the wives and children of the Lu family instantly created a commotion. Reunions with family were always bustling, and after chatting and eating a meal together, Lu Chongsheng and Lu Miaoga stood up to pay their respects to the fourth elder. They were prepared to share the news of becoming a second-rank talisman master with the fourth elder. Yuner, call little Yuner and come visit grandma with me. Lu Chongqing also called for his wife, Lu Miaoyun, and son, Lu Yun. Lately, the fourth elder's favorite had been her own son, Lu Yun. Lu Yun had also turned 12, and 2 months earlier he had begun qi refinement, achieving the induction of qi into the body. Now, he had 4 children who had begun cultivation, achieving the induction of qi into the body. But there was no new achievement reward triggered. This made Lu Chongqing quietly wonder in his heart if the number had to reach 10 to trigger subsequent draws. At the same time, he was curious if his children could obtain a draw reward if they broke through to the middle stage of qi refinement. Yes, husband. Lu Miaoyun was not at all surprised. Every time Lu Chongqing returned, he would pay a visit to the fourth elder. She immediately called over her son Lu Yun. However, hearing the news, their daughter Lu Yu also followed along. Facing this, she naturally wouldn't refuse and brought along the several children. The group arrived at the fourth elder's courtyard. Chongsheng, Yuner, Miaoga, why have all of you come? The fourth elder, with her hair elegantly coiffed into a silver bun, was dressed in a deep azure robe, basking in the sun in the backyard. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing and the others, a smile immediately graced her face. We've come to see you, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. Great grandma. The children approached the elderly woman and sweetly called out, Ah, my dears. The fourth elder looked at the children with a kindly smile, touched their heads, and retrieved spirit fruits and sweet treats from her storage bag. The butler Zizhu also came forward with tea. The family chatted with the elder. Chongsheng, how are your talisman-making skills these days? After chatting for a while, the fourth elder inquired about Lu Changsheng's talisman-making skill. This was something she always cared to ask about every time. She worried that Lu Chongqing might divert his attention and neglect the talisman path. Grandma, I came here this time to tell you that I've successfully drawn a second-rank talisman. Lu Chongqing replied with a smile. What, Chongqing? You've advanced to second-rank talisman master. The fourth elder was shocked and incredulous upon hearing Lu Changsheng's words. Lu Miaoyun and the children at her side were also surprised and incredulously happy, looking at their husband and father. They naturally understood what successfully drawing a second-rank talisman signified. It meant that Lu Chongqing had stepped into second rank, essentially becoming a second-rank talisman master. Currently, there was not a single second-rank talisman master in all of Qingzhou Mountain. Yet now, their husband and father had become a second-rank talisman master. The news filled them with boundless joy and pride. Yes, Grandma. A few days ago, I was fortunate to successfully draw a Thunder Fire talisman. So after arranging marketplace affairs with Sister Miaoga, I came back to tell you the news, Lu Chongqing said to the elder before him. After speaking, he handed over the Thunder Fire talisman he had successfully drawn for the fourth elder to examine. The fourth elder took the Thunder Fire talisman, inspecting it carefully and with great interest in her hands. The several youngsters, although they did not understand, were curious and piqued at the talisman. They had never seen a second-rank talisman before. Good, good, good. Chongqing, you haven't let Grandma down. After examining the talisman for a while, the fourth elder took a deep breath and expressed her approval repeatedly, her face beaming with joy and unable to contain her happiness. At her age, she had already seen and let go of many things. The only things she still kept in mind were the prosperity of the family and the accomplishments of her descendants. Lu Chongqing, as her grandson-in-law, had been treated like her own grandson and was laden with her high expectations. Now, seeing that her beloved grandson had achieved the rank of second-rank talisman master, she was truly delighted from the bottom of her heart. This is also thanks to your continuous guidance, Grandma, as well as the second-rank heritage and annotations on talisman making you gave me. Otherwise, Chongqing wouldn't have been able to reach this step so quickly. Lu Chongqing said with a beaming smile. Hee, you don't have to flatter Grandma. Spouting these nice words. The fact that you've reached this step is all thanks to your own efforts and talent. The help Grandma can offer is limited. The fourth elder said with a laugh. She naturally knew that Lu Chongqing was flattering her. After all, she had never been stingy with her guidance and teaching for Lu Miaoge. Initially, she had even invested more effort in Lu Miaoge. Yet compared to Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoge was clearly no match. Have you told the family head about this matter? The fourth elder asked aloud. Not yet. Sister Miaoge and I just got back not long ago and came straight here to tell you the news. Lu Chongqing replied. Chongqing, that's very thoughtful of you. Such a joyous occasion also needs to be reported to the family head and the elders, so the family can hold a grand celebration. The fourth elder said, holding her grandson-in-law's hand with a face full of gratification. Now that the family had produced a second-rank talisman master, they wouldn't keep it under wraps. A grand celebration was in order, perhaps even a grand ceremony, inviting neighboring families, spreading the news far and wide, to elevate the family's prestige. A grand celebration for this seems a bit much, Lu Chongqing said with a twitch in his mouth upon hearing this. He hadn't expected that merely advancing to a second-rank talisman master would warrant a grand ceremony. Usually, at least a breakthrough to foundation establishment would warrant such a grand ceremony. It's necessary, it's necessary. This is about becoming a second-rank talisman master, our Lu family's very first. It must be celebrated properly. Chapter 399. Grand Ceremony Celebration. Promoted to 4th grade spiritual root. The fourth elder said with a chuckle. Then, he looked at Lu Miaoge and said, Miaoge, how is your talisman making going now? Fourth Grandma, I am also preparing to try drawing second-rank talismans, Lu Miaoge said with a gentle smile. Under Lu Changsheng's usual guidance and teaching, she had also made continuous progress in talisman making. Now, in the realm of 1st grade, she belonged to the top-level talisman masters and could attempt to practice second-rank talismans. Very good, very good. You and Chongqing should communicate more. Who knows? Maybe our Lu family will have 2 second-grade talisman masters in the future. The fourth elder said, feeling somewhat excited at the thought. Although a second-grade talisman master wasn't as prestigious as a foundation establishment great cultivator, their status and identity were still extraordinary. Even foundation establishment great cultivators would show them some respect. If Qingzhou Mountain had 2 second-grade talisman masters stationed there, it would rise and prosper even more. Don't worry, Grandma, Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge said to the elder with a smile, nodding their agreement. Congratulations to my husband on advancing to 2nd-grade talisman master. At this moment, Lu Miaoyun also beamed with joy as she congratulated Lu Chongqing. Looking at her handsome husband before her, she couldn't help but remember how, when Lu Chongqing became a middle-grade talisman master, the family had arranged for her to marry him. More than a decade had passed in the blink of an eye. The once son-in-law of the Lu family had become a family elder, advancing to 2nd-grade talisman master. This filled her heart with joy, but also with a tinge of melancholy. Feeling that her husband was so powerful and outstanding, Yet her own cultivation level was still stuck at the bottleneck of the 6th level energy refinement, and she hardly had any way to help Lu Chongqing. Congratulations, Daddy! Congratulations, Daddy! The children nearby also immediately congratulated Lu Chongqing. Ha ha ha! Very good! Very good! Lu Chongqing laughed and nodded. Let's go, Chongqing. It'll take you to see the ancestor, the 4th elder said, eager to announce the news to Lu Yuanzhong. Yes, Grandma, Lu Chongqing replied, as it was his first time seeing the elder in such a state, so he went along with her. Straight away, the 4th elder took Lu Chongqing to the Qingzhou Great Hall to see the family head, Lu Miaochang. What? Chongqing, you've advanced to 2nd grade talisman master. The new family head of the Lu family was equally overjoyed at the news of Lu Changsheng's advancement. After all, the addition of a 2nd grade talisman master meant an increase in the depth of the Lu family's resources. It would not only make the business of the Lu family's spirit talisman shop better, but it would also add to their external deterrence. Moreover, they could attract some talisman master guest elders to serve the family through Lu Chongsheng, the 2nd grade talisman master. Immediately, he was thrilled and excited to send a message to Lu Yuanzhong. This foundation establishment ancestor, Lu Yuanzhong, spent most of his days cultivating in seclusion deep in Qingzhou Valley. Except for major family matters, or events like previously in Red Leaf Valley, such as auctions, he rarely went out. Soon after, an escape light from the depths of Qingzhou Valley flew towards them. It was the Lu family ancestor Lu Yuanzhong. Through his foundation establishment late-stage divine sense, Lu Chongqing recognized the ancestor's cultivation level at a glance. Foundation establishment 2nd level. Considering the time, it was within expectations. It had been over 7 years since the great battle between the Lu family and the Qin family. And by that time, Lu Yuanzhong had already broken through to foundation establishment. Now, 7 or 8 years later, advancing from the 1st level to the 2nd level of foundation establishment was quite normal. After all, like energy refinement, the small realms of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level of foundation establishment did not have bottlenecks. It was only when advancing from the 3rd to the 4th level, from the early to the middle stage of foundation establishment, that bottlenecks were encountered. 4th Aunt. Chongqing, you are here too? Is there something wrong? Lu Yuanzhong asked as he looked at everyone. Although he was the Lu family ancestor, he didn't usually put on airs in private. Ancestor Lu Miaochang immediately relayed the information about Lu Chongqing becoming a 2nd grade talisman master to Lu Yuanzhong. A 2nd grade talisman master. Very good, excellent. Lu Yuanzhong, the foundation establishment ancestor, repeated, his eyes shining with delight as he praised the news. As the family's foundation establishment ancestor, the pressure on him was immense. The entire family relied on him for support. He could not afford the slightest accident. If anything happened to him, the whole family would be affected. Now, with Lu Chongqing as a 2nd grade talisman master, at least the family's outward circumstances would improve. After all, it was success with the Red Leaf Valley Qin family that made them, and defeat by them as well. Initially, by relying on the defeat of the Chun family to establish the Red Leaf Valley marketplace, the family gained a batch of spirit stone resources, setting them on an upward trajectory. But also because of this, Red Leaf Valley marketplace was targeted by many forces. If the Lu family encountered any trouble, those people would pounce like fierce tigers. Chongshang, the joyous occasion of your advancement to 2nd grade talisman master naturally calls for a grand celebration, Lu Yuanzhong declared. How about we choose an auspicious day to hold a ceremony, invite guests far and wide, and celebrate properly, he suggested, looking at Lu Chongqing. His thoughts aligned with the 4th elders. He hoped Lu Chongqing would hold a grand ceremony to announce it far and wide, to make sure the neighboring families knew that the Lu family had a 2nd grade talisman master in residence. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing didn't say anything. If it were up to him, he wouldn't really want to make such a fuss. After all, it was only a 2nd grade talisman master. No need for such splendor. But looking at Lu Yuanzhong, the 4th elder, and Lu Miaochang, he roughly understood their thoughts and meanings. The current situation of the Lu family required a raise in the family's prestige. A second-grade talisman master could bring a significant increase in prestige for the Lu family. Ancestor, although I've successfully drawn a second-rank talisman, the success rate is too low, so I don't consider myself a true second-grade talisman master, Lu Chongqing said. Therefore, in my view, the matter of this grand ceremony is not urgent, he concluded. Chapter 400. Grand Ceremony Celebration. Promoted to 4th grade spiritual root. Once I'm more familiar with second-rank talismans and my success rate in talisman making improves, it won't be too late to hold the ceremony. Lu Chongqing mused for a moment. Since a grand ceremony was involved, there could be disruptions with people causing trouble, provocation, or even questioning it. Although he was equipped with second-grade talisman making skills and feared no challenges or doubts, it wouldn't be good to show his remarkable abilities too soon after becoming a second-grade talisman master. Therefore, he would wait and, should such a situation arise, he would be better prepared to address it. Alright, let's follow Changsheng's suggestion. Just let Miaochang know when you're ready, Lu Yuanzhong said, nodding his head upon hearing this. He found Lu Changsheng's words to make sense. Good. Changsheng, just let me know when you're ready. Lu Miaochang immediately nodded and said. He also mentioned that if Lu Chongqing needed to draw from the family's talisman-making materials, he could simply speak to him directly. As for the other benefits, since Lu Chongqing was already a family elder, there was no way to promote him further. They could only increase his monthly supply of materials for second-grade talisman making. To this, Lu Chongqing didn't have much to say. He was aware that a family's resources were limited and that they couldn't completely dedicate them to supporting one person's advancement to second-grade talisman master. That night, Yuner, what's on your mind? Lu Chongqing noticed that his wife, Lu Miaoyun, seemed to be preoccupied with thoughts. Husband, am I useless? Lu Miaoyun looked up with pursed lips and asked. Lu Chongqing, upon hearing this, had a hunch that his revealing of being a second-grade talisman master today might have put pressure on Lu Miaoyun, making her feel insecure, so he couldn't help but think more about it. He immediately reassured his wife by holding her delicate shoulders, saying, How could that be? If it wasn't for you managing our home so well, how could I focus on cultivating the talisman path with such ease? You shouldn't overthink it. We are husband and wife, bound to progress together for the rest of our lives. Lu Chongqing embraced his wife, comforting her with his warm voice. Despite typically being knowledgeable and sensible, the epitome of the wise matron managing the household well, Lu Chongqing knew that Lu Miaoyun was actually of a more delicate and gentle nature. Now, facing his situation, she, as his wife, felt some pressure which made him think further. Husband. Lu Miaoyun's moist and glossy lips barely parted as she stared blankly at her own husband. Your husband is here, always by your side. Don't overthink things. If you have something on your mind, just speak to me about it directly. Lu Chongqing looked at her face, beautiful as the blooming flowers, and spoke with a tender voice. He wasn't a heartless man. Although marrying and having children were parts of his life, he would still fulfill his responsibilities. A virtuous wife supports my lofty aspirations. In turn, I'll reward my virtuous wife with a wealth of gold. Husband. Lu Miaoyun's eyelashes trembled slightly as she called out softly, nestling into Lu Changsheng's embrace. Let's sleep. Lu Chongqing chuckled softly, revealing his wife's previously cute and naive side. MHM. As Lu Miaoyun heard his words, she softly replied, the tick-tock of her lashes indicating her tranquil state as she gradually fell asleep. Lu Chongqing watched his petite, lovely wife in his arms, listening to her steady breathing, feeling a profound sense of peace in his heart. Time flew like water, and in the blink of an eye, half a year passed. On this day, Lu Chongqing was accompanying Xiao Xie on a stroll through the streets. Being 6 months pregnant, Xiao Xie's belly was quite obvious now. And as the pregnancy progressed, this normally aloof and pure fairy of the Moon Palace was no longer as indifferent as before. She would occasionally touch her protruding belly with a look of maternal radiance on her face. Chongqing, the baby is kicking me. Xiao Xie said, acting coquettishly to Lu Changsheng as she felt the baby's movements. All right, I've noted it, and once he is born, I'll discipline him for you. Lu Changsheng immediately stroked the fairy's jade-like belly, speaking softly. Humph! What kind of father holds a grudge against his own child? Xiao Xie said, pinching Lu Changsheng in response. If someone bullies my wife, of course, I'll hold a grudge. Lu Changsheng hummed. Just then, a mysterious tremor came, accompanied by the sound of a system notification. Congratulations, host, for reaching a count of 35 descendants with spiritual roots. You have earned one lottery opportunity. This mysterious vibration was not a fleeting one. Rather, it caused a tremor throughout his body, filling Lu Changsheng's heart with an indescribable joy. He knew that his spiritual root had ascended. It had advanced from a 5th grade spiritual root to a 4th grade spiritual root. This child's spiritual root is at least a 5th grade, and possibly even a 4th grade. Lu Changsheng thought to himself with excitement. Previously, he had only 3 descendants with a 6th grade spiritual root. With such lower grade spiritual roots, it was somewhat difficult for his own 5th grade spiritual root to advance to a 4th grade. Now that his own spiritual root had directly advanced to 4th grade, he knew that this child's spiritual root was exceptionally good. It's about time. After having 141 children, I've finally had a stroke of good luck. Lu Changsheng muttered to himself. However, glancing at Xiao Xie beside him, he held his peace, reined in his spirit, and pretended as if nothing had happened, continuing to stroll with her casually. After the two had wandered for another half an hour, they returned to their cave dwelling. And at that time, Lu Changsheng went to the quiet room by himself. System. Lu Changsheng mentally called out. Name? Lu Changsheng. Identity. 9th Elder of Qingzhou Mountain. Cultivation level. Foundation establishment. First layer. Lifespan. 35/269. Talent. 4th grade spiritual root. Gengjin body constitution. Intermediate spiritual body. Cultivation technique. 100 refinements treasure body art. 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture. Yin-yang harmony technique. Immortal beauty technique. Spells. 7 luminaries sword light. 7 luminaries sword shield. 7 luminaries sword. Escape. Items. 9 treasure jade rui. Luminous treasure tree. Golden armor bean mother. Black dragon magical bead. Book of malevolent curses and fates. Life substituting talisman. Profound origin bead. Coagulation crystal elixir. Skills. Talisman making. 2nd rank. Puppetry. 2nd rank. Spirit slaughterer. 2nd rank. Spiritual pets. 9 netherhound. Peach blossom goo. 6-winged golden silkworm. Hope goo. Descendants. 141 of 144. A 4th grade spiritual root. Just one more step, and I'll have an upper grade spiritual root. Lu Changsheng looked at the accurately displayed 4th grade spiritual root on the system panel, feeling elated. Then he glanced at the descendants section. With a slight move of his spirit, he found his newly born child. Name. Unnamed. Lifespan. 179th. Talent. 4th grade spiritual root. Cultivation level. None. A 4th grade spiritual root. It really is a 4th grade. Lu Changsheng looked at this child with great surprise. He had previously guessed that this child was at least a 5th grade spiritual root, and possibly even a 4th grade. Now, seeing it confirmed on the system panel, he was finally assured. With a 4th grade spiritual root, apart from Qingshan, this child has the best talent among all my children. Lu Changsheng was very pleased. The most talented of his children was originally Lu Qingshan with a 6th grade spiritual root, who possessed the Gengjin body constitution. This child's 4th grade spiritual root, although not as good as Lu Qingshan's, was still quite excellent. He believed that, with his guidance, this child would have no trouble achieving foundation establishment in the future. A 4th grade spiritual root, if I so desire, I could even consider sending him to an immortal sect later. Lu Changsheng thought to himself. Although he felt capable of nurturing the child himself, he also entertained the idea of diversifying. Some children he could cultivate at home, others he could send to Immortal sex. This approach not only saved resources and provided better growth environments for the children, but could also expand the family's network of connections. Moreover, sending a child to the Qingyun sect would mean Xiao Xie could help look after them. However, there's a downside to everything. Sending children to Immortal sects would undoubtedly diminish their proximity and connection to the family. And sending them to Immortal sects with all the competition and sect responsibilities, it may not necessarily be better than being in the family. Well, that's still a ways off, no need to rush. Lu Chongqing exhaled lightly, not dwelling on the matter. Mentally, he said, "System, draw the lottery." Since he was entitled to a lottery, he naturally wouldn't hold on to it, instead planning to use it right away. Immediately, the system's attribute panel blurred and transformed into the familiar lottery wheel. Draw the lottery. Looking at the lottery wheel, Lu Changsheng's spirit stirred as he began to participate in the draw. Chapter 401. 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock. The mouse sees the sun again. _1. Ding! Congratulations to the host on obtaining the magical treasure. 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock. The reward has been issued to the system space. The host can check it at any time. The golden light paused at the magical treasures category. Immediately, a black chain with innumerable shadows emerged from the spinning wheel, accompanied by a system notification sound. Magical treasures? Lu Chongqing looked at the reward he won from the lottery, his eyebrows raising slightly. If it had been before, winning a magical treasure from the lottery would have felt quite nice. But now, with the 9 treasure jade rui, the black dragon magical bead, and 1 magical treasure embryo, the speed of his 100 refinements treasure body art had already reached its peak. He no longer felt anything for magical treasures. After all, with his current foundation establishment cultivation, he couldn't activate a magical treasure. Other than using it for cultivating the 100 refinements treasure body art, it was practically useless and utter superfluity. However, one can never have too many magical treasures. Once I reached the late stage of foundation establishment, relying on the profound origin bead, I should almost be able to activate magical treasures. Moreover, magical treasures can also be used by my children. If any of these children can cultivate the 100 refinements treasure body art, I can definitely let them infuse the magical treasures into their bodies to assist in their cultivation. Not only would it enable them to advance quickly, but it's also equivalent to me improving. A single magical treasure, double the benefits. Lu Chongqing exhaled softly, murmuring to himself. He planned to imprint the magical treasure into the body of whichever child could cultivate the 100 refinements treasure body art in the future. After all, once the child cultivated, the effects would stack onto himself. The only issue now was that the children were young, and he wasn't quite willing to teach orthodox-level cultivation techniques to outsiders. Moreover, orthodox-level cultivation techniques were not so easy to practice. He had personally taught Lu Miaoge the exquisite-level Saturn Solar Sword technique for nearly half a month before she gained a preliminary understanding. This orthodox-level 100 refinements treasure body technique was countless times more difficult. In the process of cultivation, if there was any carelessness, it could lead to problems and injury to oneself. Therefore, he must be cautious and handle it with care. Sigh, if only I could directly impart cultivation techniques to these children as well. Lu Chongqing sighed in his heart, feeling wistful. After relying on the system to inherit the soul dispersion needle from the Red Phoenix True Scripture, he profoundly appreciated how awesome it was to have techniques directly transmitted by the system. Otherwise, even if he understood all the principles and theories, practicing them was another matter entirely. Without further thought, Lu Chongqing looked toward the system space. He was checking the magical treasure he had just won. Magical treasure, 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock, grade, superior quality magical treasure. Description: Ghost Celestial sought hundreds of demon warhorses that had battled through many wars and tortured them relentlessly, so that their resentful spirits would soar as they died, their souls not dissipating, and refined them into horses. Eventually, he infused the spirits of 100 horses into the towering pagoda chains, creating the 100 steeds towering pagoda lock. When used against an enemy, the 100 horses charge fiercely, collapsing mountains and tearing the earth asunder, shattering both body and soul of the opponent. Superior quality magical treasure. Looks like it belongs to the demonic path magical treasure. Although the method of refining demonic path magical treasures is quite cruel, their power and effects are generally impressive. But this description really does illustrate the effectiveness. When facing an enemy, upon unleashing the magical treasure, 100 horses barrel through with such force that mountains collapse and the earth splits, scattering the opponent's body and soul. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, examining the description of the magical treasure's effects. But after looking at it a couple of times, he didn't pay it much more attention, letting the magical treasure remain in the system space. He decided to take it out when it was needed in the future. I wonder how much my 4th grade spiritual root has improved compared to before. After the lottery draw, Lu Chongqing felt unenthusiastic, thinking about his recently advanced 4th grade spiritual root. He immediately closed his eyes and sat in meditation, with his heart open to heaven, channeling the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. After cultivating for an hour, Lu Chongqing opened his eyes and exhaled a turbid breath. From the recent cultivation, he could clearly sense that his speed of cultivation had improved, about 30% compared to before. Although it was only 30%, this effect was already quite remarkable. It allowed his speed of cultivation to increase significantly. Moreover, apart from the speed of cultivation, having a superior spiritual root also made it easier to break through bottlenecks. However, a 4th grade spiritual root only helps with minor bottlenecks. For my current situation, it won't have any noticeable effect on the major bottleneck of core formation in the future. If I could advance my spiritual root to a heavenly spiritual root before core formation, then breaking through would pose no bottleneck at all. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. He could not help but look forward to the day when he would be blessed with a stroke of luck, spawning a child with a heavenly spiritual root. That way, his spiritual root would be perfected in one fell swoop, sparing him the slow grind. Shaking his head to dispel these impractical fantasies, Lu Chongqing stepped out of the meditation room. After chatting with Xiao Xie for a while, he left the cave dwelling and went to the Lu family spiritual talisman shop. Daddy! Upon arriving on the 3rd floor, Lu Qingzhu, who was quietly reading a book by herself, saw Lu Chongqing and called out sweetly, "Little Zhu, where is your mother?" Lu Chongqing, seeing his daughter alone, showed a gentle smile and asked. His daughter was 6 years old now, even more adorable in appearance. With her chubby and baby-soft cheeks, he couldn't help but pinch them. "Mommy is in the room drawing talismans," Lu Qingzhu said in a sweet, milky voice. Guessing that there must be a customer who ordered or needed a specific talisman, Lu Chongqing didn't go to disturb Lu Miaoge. He walked over and sat beside his daughter, asking, "What are you looking at, little Zhu?" "Daddy, look." Lu Qingzhu handed the album she was holding to Lu Chongqing. Chapter 402. 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock. The mouse sees the sun again. This is a photo album. Inside is a forest teeming with all sorts of spiritual beasts living and playing. Since it's for young children's enlightenment, these spiritual beasts are relatively mild and adorable. There won't be any ferocious and terrifying demon beasts. "Little Zhu, do you know what this is?" Lu Chongqing asked, pointing to a purple parrot. Lu Qingzhu shook her head with a dazedly cute expression. Then she looked at Lu Chongqing with her innocent, wide eyes, waiting for him to introduce it. Lu Chongqing smiled at his daughter's antics. He ruffled her little head, which was tied into 2 buns, and said, "This is a purple jade parrot. It understands human language and can speak." As he spoke, Lu Chongqing tapped the purple jade parrot on the jade scroll. "Hello." Immediately, the parrot let out a crisp greeting. "Oh, hello." Lu Qingzhu responded with her dazedly cute voice. "If little Zhu likes it, "Daddy will buy one for you," Lu Chongqing said to his daughter, who was exhibiting her adorable behavior. This purple jade parrot was only a low-level demon beast, a type kept for ornamental purposes, and many cultivators domesticated them as pets to keep at home. They were also available for sale in the Red Leaf Valley market. "Oh, Daddy, this one?" Lu Qingzhu, hearing this, flipped through the album a couple of pages with her little hand, and pointed to a white-furred hamster to show Lu Chongqing. "Little Zhu, you like this kind?" Lu Chongqing was taken aback upon hearing this. He hadn't expected his daughter to prefer the white-furred hamster over the talking purple jade parrot. But indeed, the white-furred hamster was quite cute. Its body was snow-white, fluffy, and had an adorable appearance, so it was normal for children to like it. At this moment, he remembered he had a similar-looking golden hamster in his spiritual pet bag, the Earth Spirit Mouse he had gotten from Meng Yibai. Since this Earth Spirit Mouse was stolen property, he had always kept it in the spiritual pet bag. Every now and then, he would throw a few spirit-rearing pellets into the bag to feed it. "Little Zhu, how about this one?" Immediately, Lu Chongqing reached into the spiritual pet bag and pulled out the Earth Spirit Mouse. This Earth Spirit Mouse was about the same size as the white-furred hamster in the album, only the size of a palm. With golden fur and a harmlessly cute appearance, it was very adorable. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The Earth Spirit Mouse, which hadn't breathed fresh air for more than 3 years in the spiritual pet bag, was finally seeing daylight again and started calling out happily, "Oh, a mousey!" Upon seeing the adorable Earth Spirit Mouse, Lu Qingzhu's sparkling eyes widened even further. Her little head moved slightly forward, and she leaned in to get a closer look at the Earth Spirit Mouse. "Behave yourself." Lu Chongqing, holding the hamster, gave it a few rubs and conveyed his thoughts to the Earth Spirit Mouse through the Beast Control token. He clearly remembered that this Earth Spirit Mouse possessed no small amount of spiritual intelligence. It even knew how to acknowledge someone as an adoptive father. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The Earth Spirit Mouse immediately responded to Lu Chongqing. It showed that the mouse was the most well-behaved and sensible one. Lu Chongqing believed this as well. He dared to bring this Earth Spirit Mouse out for his daughter to play with because he had researched information about it and knew its temperament. Though it possessed an Earth-grade bloodline, it was as timid as a mouse. Aside from running away, it wouldn't really fight. Its primary use was treasure hunting. It had an extremely keen sense of smell for spiritual medicine, heavenly materials and earthly treasures, or even for spirit minerals and spirit veins. Could also sniff a particular medicine, heavenly material, or earthly treasure, and as long as someone had touched the spiritual medicine or treasure within a short period, it could sniff them out. Plainly speaking, it was very sensitive to spiritual energy and spiritual mechanisms. "Come here, little Zhu." Lu Chongqing spread out his hand, letting his daughter touch the golden hamster. With him beside her, he wasn't worried about how the Earth Spirit Mouse would behave. If it did anything unexpected, he could stop it immediately. "Oh!" Lu Qingzhu stretched out her delicate little hand and carefully touched the Earth Spirit Mouse. Although the Earth Spirit Mouse was only palm-sized, for an adult, that is, to a 6-year-old little girl, it was still quite big. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The Earth Spirit Mouse played along well, realizing that this scary person brought it to entertain the human child. It immediately rubbed its little head against Lu Qingzhu's small hand. "Oh, Daddy!" Lu Qingzhu was startled, then grew bolder and petted the Earth Spirit Mouse, calling out to Lu Chongqing, "Here, you take it." Lu Chongqing smiled and handed over the Earth Spirit Mouse to his daughter. "Oh!" Lu Qingzhu immediately cradled the golden hamster in her hands and rubbed it in her arms, her little face beaming with happiness. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The Earth Spirit Mouse continued to cooperate. "Little Zhu, you can feed it this." Lu Chongqing took out a bottle of spirit-nourishing pills, poured one out, and handed it to his daughter to feed to the Earth Spirit Mouse. After all, feeding a pet was also a form of joy. "Oh!" Lu Qingzhu cradled the Earth Spirit Mouse with one arm while feeding it the spirit-nourishing pill with the other. Immediately, the little golden hamster showed its 2 teeth, began nibbling on the elixir medicines, and happily squeaked. In its spiritual pet bag, because Lu Chongsheng was so busy he had forgotten about it, it often had to go without food. This made it learn to eat the spirit-nourishing pills sparingly. So, getting an extra meal today made it extremely happy. "Daddy, look!" After a while, Lu Qingzhu watched the earth spirit mouse nibble on the elixir medicines by itself, her mouth forming a surprised "oh," and called out to Lu Chongsheng. "Little Zhu, do you like this mouse?" Lu Chongsheng asked his daughter. If his daughter said she liked it, he would give this earth spirit mouse to Lu Qingzhu. After all, it was just sitting on him and used, so it would be better if it became a companion for his daughter. His daughter spent most of her time on Qingzhou Mountain and only occasionally visited the Red Leaf Valley Market. Chapter 403, 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock. The mouse seized the sun again. He didn't have to worry about being targeted by Meng Yibai's false core elder. After all, if the elder could really track him down through an earth spirit mouse, he would have already done so. Moreover, although earth spirit mice are rare, they aren't so rare that people would think too much upon seeing one. "Daddy, like..." Lu Qingzhu looked at the earth spirit mouse in her hand, then turned towards Lu Chongsheng, her sparkling eyes brimming with affection. "Since that's the case, Daddy will give this little mouse to my little Zhu," Lu Chongsheng said with a smile. "Oh, thank you, Daddy." Upon hearing this, Lu Qingzhu's little face showed her happiness. Then she put down the hamster, stood up, and reached out both her arms towards Lu Chongsheng. Seeing this, Lu Chongsheng picked up his daughter. "Mua!" Once picked up, Lu Qingzhu immediately planted a strong kiss on her daddy's face. She knew her daddy liked to kiss her cheeks to show his affection, so she kissed Lu Chongsheng back to show her affection. "Ha ha ha! Such a good girl, Mua." Lu Chongsheng laughed heartily, promptly nibbling on his daughter's chubby cheeks. "Chongsheng, you're back. What's making you so happy?" At this moment, the door to the talisman room opened. Lu Miaoge, clad in a snow-white dress, her visage gentle and lovely, walked out. Seeing the father and daughter so joyous, a beautiful smile graced her face as she spoke. "Hee hee. Seeing my darling daughter and wife naturally makes me happy," Lu Chongsheng said with a smile. "Still so slick-tongued even though you're a father now." Lu Miaoge responded with a quip, rolling her eyes affectionately at Lu Chongsheng while smiling sweetly. "Oh, Mommy Mouse." At that moment, Lu Qingzhu in Lu Changsheng's arms pointed towards the earth spirit mouse, which had finished gnawing on the spirit pill, and called out to Lu Miaoge. "Mousy!" Lu Miaoge looked to the side and instantly noticed the earth spirit mouse. After scrutinizing it for a moment, she turned to Lu Chongsheng and asked in surprise, "Is this a seeking spirit mouse?" In the cultivation world, there were numerous spiritual beasts with treasure-seeking abilities. These were particularly common among rodents. Due to their similar appearance, it was difficult to distinguish between them. Therefore, many referred to these treasure-seeking rodent spiritual beasts collectively as seeking spirit mice. That's right, it's a seeking spirit mouse. I saw the seeking spirit mouse at a stall earlier and thought about buying it to look for treasure later. But then I realized that I hardly ever leave the house. Just now, seeing that little Zhu likes this type of hamster, I decided to give it to her as a companion. Lu Chongsheng nodded and explained without any concealment. After all, it's easy to recognize a spirit mouse with a seeking spirit mouse bloodline. They typically have golden fur and are palm-sized. This is such a waste. Who spoils their daughter like you do? Giving her a seeking spirit mouse as a playmate? Lu Miaoge said reproachfully upon hearing this. Seeking spirit mice might lack combat ability, but just their treasure-seeking effect alone made many families and powers eager to obtain them. Hence, spiritual beasts with treasure-seeking abilities generally had a high value. Although she didn't know how many spirit stones Lu Chongsheng had spent, she felt it was a lavish expense. As long as little Zhu is happy, that's all that matters. Lu Chongsheng smiled and said, "When little Zhu grows up and starts cultivating, who knows? She might find some treasures with this seeking spirit mouse." Every year, Qingzhou Mountain held a spiritual root testing ceremony. This year, Lu Qingzhu was tested at the ceremony and found to have a 7th-grade spiritual root, which relieved both Lu Yuanding and Lu Miaoge. They had feared the child would have no spiritual root and would have to be sent to live an ordinary life. Lu Qingshan also had his spiritual root aptitude tested, but it seemed the Qingzhu mountain testing crystal was too shoddy, as it only confirmed the presence of a spiritual root, and failed to detect Lu Qingshan's Gangjin body constitution. Regarding this, Lu Chongxing theorized, aside from the poor quality of the testing crystal, it was also because Lu Qingshan's Gangjin body constitution was still growing. Just keep pampering her. Lu Miaoge smiled and shook her head, no longer saying anything. Since her husband had given their daughter a playmate, she, as a mother, naturally couldn't say no. Moreover, once Lu Qingzhu grew older, maybe she really could find some treasure with the help of the Earth Spirit Mouse. Mother! Lu Qingzhu pointed to the Earth Spirit Mouse and called out to her mother. Oh, such a cute little mouse. Does little Zhu like it? Seeing this, Lu Miaoge immediately came forward with a gentle smile on her face. She also picked up the Earth Spirit Mouse to take a closer look. She wanted to see if it was a mid-grade gold-seeking mouse or a high-grade seeking spirit mouse. I like it, Lu Qingzhu said in her childish voice. If you like it, then little Zhu needs to take good care of it. Okay? Lu Miaoge told her daughter. Okay. Lu Qingzhu nodded vigorously. After chatting with her daughter for a bit, Lu Miaoge let Lu Chongxing watch over her. She went to deliver the talisman she had just finished making. Lu Chongxing watched his daughter holding the little hamster, looking at it from every angle, and handed her a bottle of spirit-nurturing pills to feed and play with it. After a short while, Lu Miaoge came back. She looked at her well-behaved and quiet daughter chatting idly with Lu Chongxing. Chongxing, how familiar are you with the Thunder Fire Talisman now? At that moment, Lu Miaoge inquired. I'm about 40 or 50% confident, Lu Chongxing said out loud. That fast? Lu Miaoge exclaimed with surprise and delight on her face. This success rate was not low. After all, a second-rank low-grade talisman could bring about a 20-fold profit. Even with a success rate of 10 or 20%, one could roughly make money. Of course, that was not counting the accumulated practice over days and months. Like Lu Miaoge, who was currently practicing second-rank talismans, she practiced only once per day when she was at her best condition. After all, the practice cost of over 20 spirit stones was truly heart-wrenching. Even if the Lu family's talisman paper was made from their own jade spirit bamboo, costing only the price of materials, it was still painful. It's okay, isn't it? I've been improving a bit every month, Lu Chongxing said with a smile. Who makes progress every month? Lu Miaoge felt somewhat struck by her husband's words. Talisman making, much like cultivation, often faced bottlenecks that could last a lifetime without progress. Even worse, if one's mentality was affected, one could regress on the talisman path. Possibly even the talismans they were once able to draw would get worse. Heh, that's what's happening to me right now, Lu Chongxing said with laughter. Yes, 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 my husband is the greatest. Lu Miaoge's face broke into an indulgent smile. She then inquired, by the way, Chongxing, when do you plan to hold your second-grade talisman master ceremony? In a few more months, I guess. I'll wait until my success rate improves a bit and I get familiar with a few other talismans. Then I'll notify the family head. Lu Chongxing said thoughtfully. In his view, after holding the ceremony, he would definitely be busy for a while. Now that Wuxia was about 4 months away from giving birth. If he were to inform the Lu family now, preparing and sending out invitations would take about a month or two. The timing could easily overlap. So he planned to wait until after Wuxia had given birth before organizing the ceremony. Lu Miaoge nodded. She knew that the talisman path was analogous to other skills. Once proficient in one type of talisman, mastering others would become much easier. She thought her husband truly approached things with a steady hand. Even for a ceremony, he insisted on being fully prepared. This was also thanks to her husband's exceptional talent and rapid progress on the talisman path. Otherwise, for someone else to do the same might take 3 to 5 years or even longer toil. Chapter 404. reduce expenses and increase income. 99 Mysterious Talisman Scripture. _1. 3 months later. In the residential area of Red Leaf Valley Market, Lu Chongqing cycled the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture. His body surrounded by 7 sword radiances, elegant and fierce, fluctuating unpredictably, making his robes billow and flutter. As nature's spiritual energy continued to sweep over him, the sword chi around his body became even sharper, forming a powerful spiritual pressure. Boom! With a thunderous noise inside his body, the spiritual pressure gradually dissipated. 3 years and 7 months, Foundation Establishment 2nd level. Lu Chongqing opened his eyes, a faint smile forming on his lips. He then inwardly examined his divine sense to check his condition after the breakthrough. His Danshan's sea of qi had expanded again, able to hold even more liquefied mana. With the breakthrough in cultivation level, his divine sense also improved slightly. However, as his divine sense had already expanded to 150 zhang under the effects of the Purple Mansion elixir, this breakthrough only added about another 7 or 8 zhang to its range. I wonder when I will be able to draw alchemy skills through the system. Otherwise, this way, the elixir medicines of the qi refinement realm will be almost useless to me, with very minimal effects. Lu Chongqing glanced at the empty bottles of condensing energy elixirs beside him and exhaled softly. In a large marketplace like Qingyun Market, with big shops like Qingyun Commerce Guild and Elixir Cauldron Pavilion, you can still buy some elixirs that advance Foundation Establishment cultivation if you're willing to spend the money. But it's harder in a marketplace like Red Leaf Valley. Even elixirs that enhance energy refinement late-stage cultivation level are in limited supply. Otherwise, with the 7 luminaries heart lamp to refine elixir toxicity and burn mana, his cultivation speed could be twice as fast. Without thinking too much more, after slightly stabilizing his mana, Lu Chongqing cast a cleansing technique on himself. He cleared away the slight impurities and dust brought by the marrow cleansing during his breakthrough, walking out of the practice room feeling refreshed and clear-headed. Congratulations to Mr. Lu on reaching the 2nd level of Foundation Establishment. In the living room, Wuxia looked at Lu Chongqing, her stunning face breaking into a gentle smile. 9 months pregnant, her abdomen was now prominently round. But this did not detract from her beauty. Instead, it added a mature and full-bodied charm to her figure. Her icy skin and bone structure, along with her pure and serene face, also began to exude an enchanting maternal charm over time. It turned her original coolness entirely into a gentle beauty. Her every move revealed a holy and pure beauty. "It's just a minor breakthrough," he remarked. "If it weren't for this little one, you would have been close to breaking through as well," said Lu Chongqing, looking tenderly at Wuxia. "Even without this little one, I wouldn't have broken through to the 2nd level of Foundation Establishment so quickly," Wuxia gently said, touching her belly. Although she had cultivated alongside Lu Chongqing and made rapid progress, she still spent time consolidating her cultivation foundations after each dual cultivation session. Unlike Lu Chongqing, who constantly burned mana with the 7 luminaries heart lamp to refine his foundations. Moreover, aside from cultivating, she also had to take time out every day to practice her techniques and divine skills. Therefore, she was quite surprised at how quickly Lu Chongqing had broken through to the 2nd level of Foundation Establishment. After all, she knew from her daily interactions with Lu Chongqing that he only spent 2 or 3 hours a day on cultivation. And after witnessing Lu Chongqing deal with 2 Foundation Establishment robber cultivators, she instinctively thought he must have spent a lot of time cultivating his divine technique and skills. Otherwise, how could he possess such divine abilities? Having to spend time with his wives and children, as well as cultivate divine technique and skills, and also focus on the talisman path, it was naturally surprising to her that his cultivation could progress so swiftly under these circumstances. However, she did not ask further, knowing that Lu Chongqing had great secrets and a rare spiritual or possibly Taoist body. Otherwise, with a 9th grade spiritual root, such speed in cultivation would be impossible. "You've worked hard, Shiyu," Lu Chongqing said gently, taking a seat beside her. He tenderly stroked Wuxia's rounded, fair, and soft belly with his palm. It's not hard work. For me, this is also cultivation, an experience. Wuxia gently shook her head. Since becoming pregnant, she could clearly sense a change in her mental state. It allowed her new insights and understandings of the supreme forgetful love technique, considering it as part of the myriad experiences and practices of mortal life. Lu Changsheng's mouth twitched slightly upon hearing this. He thought to himself that this supreme forgetful love technique really made one continuously associate everything with cultivation. After chatting with Wuxia for a while, Lu Changsheng mentioned he'd returned to Qingzhou Mountain for a visit. Although Wuxia was pregnant and he was spending more time and energy here, he couldn't just neglect Qingzhou Mountain and Rui Prefecture. He would still go back every month or two to handle various matters, check on his wives and children, and additionally work on conceiving more children. Now, the total number of his children had reached 146. After returning to Qingzhou Mountain, as usual, Lu Changsheng inquired about the cultivation situations of his children and Bai Ling. His son Lu Xianji had been stuck at the middle stage of qi refinement and remained at the third level. Lu Changsheng hadn't given him any breakthrough elixir, allowing him to gradually overcome the bottleneck on his own. After all, using breakthrough elixirs at this stage would inevitably affect later progress. Despite being a 9th-grade spiritual root with basically no potential for further growth, Lu Changsheng believed it was best to break through on one's own if possible, and there was no rush for time. Lu Chuanjin had also reached the 3rd level of qi refinement. His daughters Lu Rui and Lu Yun, on the other hand, were at the 2nd level. As for Bai Ling, she had long since broken through to the 4th level of qi refinement, and it was estimated that before long, she would reach the 5th level. This pace left Lu Changsheng astounded. In just 3 short years, even without his provision of elixir medicines, she had cultivated to the 4th level of qi refinement and was close to breaking through to the 5th level. Chapter 405. Cutting Costs and Increasing Income, the 99 Mysterious Talisman Scripture. This speed is not at all inferior to that of Wuxia's initial progress and even surpasses it by a notch. Afterward, Lu Changsheng inquired about the situation of his other children. The 5th child with a spiritual root has also reached 12 years of age and has started the cultivation process. But he has not yet completed the drawing in of qi. Starting from next year, the children who are able to cultivate will experience a minor burst in growth. Lu Changsheng spent an entire day caring for and inquiring after all his children. He knew that in the next 4 years, he would have 15 children with spiritual roots stepping onto the path of immortality. This was thanks to his frenetic sowing when he first arrived at 9 Dragons Market. In just 5 short years, he had fathered 60 children. On average, 1 child per month. If it hadn't been for the 2nd and 4th elders persuading him to take care of his body and show some restraint, the number might have been even higher. 9 Dragons Market. Lu Changsheng reflected on the days when he bought maids from the White Jade Tower in 9 Dragons Market. It feels like it's time to select some more maids. He couldn't help but think to himself. Among these wives and maids, apart from Lu Miaoge, who had only given birth to 1, Lu Miaohuan had borne 2. The others had at least 3 or 4 each. Some of the concubines had gone as far as having 5 or 6 children. In Lu Changsheng's view, this number was about right. Although the purchased maids had no rights, they couldn't be treated solely as breeding machines. Empathy was key. The concubines needed to be devoted to him wholeheartedly. Otherwise, when the children grew up, seeing their mothers treated like this, they would feel uncomfortable too. If the outflow is to be stemmed, the source must be widened by increasing the number of maids. Moreover, I now have the money to go to the White Jade Tower and purchase maids with middle-grade and even upper-grade spiritual roots. Lu Changsheng thought to himself for a moment. He decided to visit the White Jade Tower in 9 Dragons Market when he had some free time. It wasn't just about income and expenditure. All his maids were of lower-grade spiritual roots. This had a certain influence on the spiritual root talent of the children born. Now that his circumstances had improved, it was time for a further step in selective breeding. After all, the higher the parents' spiritual roots, the better the children's spiritual roots would be. After staying in Qingzhou Mountain for 10 days, Lu Chongqing prepared to return to Red Leaf Valley Market. Boom! Just then, a relatively dense cultivation level surged into Lu Changsheng's body from nowhere. He immediately knew that his son, Lu Xianji, had broken through the bottleneck of the middle stage of qi refinement. He had reached the 4th level of energy refinement. The 4th level of energy refinement, if not counting the quality of spiritual power and mana, is about 1% of my current cultivation level. It's equivalent to saving me a month and a half of arduous cultivation. Lu Chongqing closed his eyes to feel the incoming cultivation strength and roughly estimated. If we calculate this way, 100 cultivators at the 4th level of energy refinement would be equal to 1 foundation establishment. However, the quality difference in mana allows a foundation establishment cultivator to easily slaughter 100 cultivators in the middle stage of energy refinement. Lu Chongqing shook his head slightly, knowing such calculations were not feasible. But reaching the middle stage of energy refinement at least has some effect on me. When breaking through to the 2nd and 3rd levels of energy refinement earlier, there was no perceivable impact on me. Now that I'm at the foundation establishment level, for my children to impact me, they need to be at the late stage of qi refinement. But waiting for a child to cultivate to the late stage of energy refinement will probably take another 10 to 20 years. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. The path of cultivation seemed long and distant. After all, aside from Lu Qingshan and the previously mentioned son with a 4th-grade spiritual root, Lu Qingxian, the spiritual roots of his current children were mediocre at best. There were only 2 with 6th-grade middle spiritual roots. All the others were of lower-grade spiritual roots. But indeed, as I suspected, there was no achievement reward for the child breaking through to the middle stage of qi refinement. Could it be that such cultivation-related achievement rewards won't trigger again until they break through to foundation establishment? If that's the case, it's way too difficult. Lu Chongqing saw no system notification and shook his head inwardly. Although he had anticipated this, he still held a faint hope. He wanted to see if breaking through to the middle stage of qi refinement would trigger an achievement reward. Xianji is also 15 or 16 now, having broken through to the middle stage of qi refinement. It's time to let him gain some experience in Red Leaf Valley Market. Seeing Lu Xianzi's breakthrough to the middle stage of qi refinement, Lu Chongqing thought about his son who was no longer young. He planned to let him go out to broaden his horizon and get tempered. After all, flowers cannot be grown in a greenhouse. These children were his future foundation. They would need them to manage the family later on. Even with average spiritual roots, they must be well cultivated. Thereupon, Lu Chongqing walked towards Lu Xianzi's courtyard. Dad, I've broken through to the middle stage of energy refinement. At that moment, Lu Xianji emerged from the courtyard, his face bright with joy. Seeing Lu Chongqing, he spoke with excitement. Not bad. Far stronger than your father back in the day, Lu Chongqing said, not sparing on praises. How could the child dare to compare with you, father? Back then you relied on your own efforts to progress step by step. If it weren't for the resources you spent and the environment you provided, how could I have broken through to the middle stage of energy refinement so quickly? Lu Xianji quickly responded. The praise from his father, though thrilling, he was very aware that his current wealth was entirely due to standing on his father's shoulders. Guided by his grandmother's teachings and interaction with other Lu family disciples, he knew that many Lu family disciples didn't have conditions as favorable as his brothers and sisters. His father had used all his cultivation resources to support them, especially since he only has a 9th-grade spiritual root, deemed unworthy of cultivation. Yet his father chose to treat him no differently. Chapter 406. Open Sources and Save Expenditures, the 99 Mysterious Talisman Scriptures. Therefore, in his heart, Lu Xianji still held immense admiration and respect for his own father. Haha! Your father strives hard in the hope that your path will be smoother, and you will go farther than I have. Upon hearing his son's words, Lu Chongqing smiled and patted him on the shoulder, saying. He then continued, now that you've broken through to the middle stage of qi refinement, I plan to take you to the marketplace to broaden your horizons and gain some experience. What do you think? Son will follow father's arrangements. Upon hearing this, Lu Xianji immediately nodded in agreement. Having been in Qingzhou Mountain for so many years, he naturally yearned for the cultivation world and wanted to go out and see it for himself. Good, prepare yourself. Tomorrow, come with me to the Red Leaf Valley Market. Lu Chongqing nodded his head and said. He told Lu Xianji to go and say farewell to the family and friends. Congratulations, brother Xianji. Congratulations to the seventh brother for breaking through to the middle stage of qi refinement. The other children in the courtyard, upon hearing that Lu Xianji had broken through to the middle stage of qi refinement and that Lu Chongsheng was going to take him to the Red Leaf Valley Market, expressed their envy and congratulations. Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and Chu Jinjin, the aunties, also heard the news and each gave gifts to encourage him. After all, being the first child in the family to break through to the middle stage of qi refinement had its special significance and was worth celebrating. Under these circumstances, Lu Xianji seemed to take on a bit more responsibility. Although he was the seventh in the family, those ranked ahead of him like Lu Pingon, due to the lack of a spiritual root, had all been sent into the secular world. Therefore, in Qingzhou Mountain he was effectively the eldest, bearing the responsibilities of an older brother. After a small celebration, the next day, Lu Chongqing rode atop an iron feather eagle, taking his son, Lu Xianji, with him to the Red Leaf Valley Market. First, he took Lu Xianji to the Lu family's spiritual talisman shop to meet Lu Miaoga. Although he planned to have Lu Xianji stay at the Peace Talisman Hall, he had to bring him over to meet with her since he was here. With him often absent, Lu Xianji could come to Lu Miaoga if he had any issues. In the Red Leaf Valley Market, Lu Miaoga was quite an influential figure. Xianji, feel free to come by your auntie's place when you have the time, Lu Miaoga said with a gentle and amiable expression. She was much more well-off than the other wives and concubines of Lu Chongsheng and gave Lu Xianji a magic artifact as a gift. Many thanks, auntie. Lu Xianji seldom met with this auntie, Lu Miaoga, and did not feel very close to her, slightly restrained. After accepting the gift, he bowed respectfully. After a brief chat, Lu Chongqing took Lu Xianji to visit the Peace Talisman Hall. Peace Talisman Hall? Dad? Is this our family's shop? Lu Xianji looked at the shop in front of him and asked aloud. He knew that besides owning 100 mu of spiritual land on Qingzhou Mountain, his father also owned a spirit talisman shop and a mansion in the Red Leaf Valley Market. The reason why he and his siblings had such comfortable conditions was due to the spiritual land and the shop and mansion. That's right. This is our family's spirit talisman shop. Lu Chongqing nodded and said, I didn't bring you here to learn talisman making. Instead, I want you to broaden your horizons and understand the ins and outs of managing a shop, doing business. Aren't you interested in puppets? Now that you've broken through to the middle stage of qi refinement, you can spend some time on this. If there's anything you don't understand, come and ask your father. Once you become a puppet master, your father will open a shop for you. Lu Chongqing spoke to his son. His son might not have a talent for talisman making, but he did have some for puppets. Since he had just begun cultivation, Lu Chongqing hadn't wanted him to be distracted by puppets. Now that he had broken through to the middle stage of qi refinement, Lu Chongqing was willing to let him spend some time on it. After all, the art of puppets was also an important part of his future that needed to be passed on. Yes, father. Upon hearing this, Lu Xianji looked at the words Peace Talisman Hall and pursed his lips, showing determination in his eyes. Shopkeeper. Shopkeeper. As the two entered the shop, the greeters and shopkeeper Gao, he immediately greeted them resoundingly. Xianji, this is your Uncle Gao. Lu Chongqing introduced to Lu Xianji. Uncle Gao. Lu Xianji promptly called out. On the way over, Lu Chongqing had briefly explained the situation of the spiritual talisman shop. He knew that this man with a round face and slightly aged appearance was the shopkeeper of the spirit talisman shop. Old Gao, this is my son Lu Xianji. I plan to place him in the shop as an apprentice, to gain some experience and understand how the shop is managed. You want me to teach him about making talismans, but it'll trouble you to instruct him in other aspects. Lu Chongsheng spoke to his old friend Gao He. The two had known each other for more than 10 years and had been employer and employee for 6 years. Since Lu Chongsheng had always been an absent shop owner, and Gao He managed the shop well, their personal relationship remained quite good. Sure, no problem. Gao He, upon hearing that this was the young shop owner, immediately smiled and agreed. This practice of placing family children in the shop to learn was quite common. As long as Lu Xianji wasn't a spoiled brat, he naturally wouldn't have any objections. Moreover, having been a shopkeeper for so many years, he had a good eye and could tell that Lu Xianji didn't seem to be a troublesome person. After Lu Xianji was settled in, Lu Chongsheng left for his mansion to check on Xiao Xie's condition. After all, according to the timeline, Xiao Xie was due to give birth this month. The thought of Xiao Xie's child being soon born inevitably filled Lu Chongsheng with anticipation. However, after waiting for a month, the child in Xiao Xie's womb did not arrive as expected. Lu Chongsheng was not worried about this situation. Instead, he showed a look of delight, because children who are born later than expected are either problematic or naturally extraordinary with potentially excellent spiritual root quality. Chapter 407. Save and Earn, 99 Mysterious Talisman Scriptures. _4. He and Xiao Xie were both foundation establishment cultivators and naturally were able to sense the general condition of the child. There were no issues with vitality. Therefore, there was a high probability that the child possessed a fairly good spiritual root, or even a spiritual body. Thus, Lu Chongsheng awaited the birth of the child with a calm heart and anticipation. Before the child was born, 7 days later, a faint flow of energy, accompanied by a system notification, sounded. Congratulations to the host. 5 offspring have completed the absorption of qi into their bodies, stepping onto the path of cultivation, and received the bloodline effect. A 5% increase in the probability of the offspring's spiritual roots and 1 lottery draw. 5 Kursin has completed the absorption of qi into her body. Through this flow of energy and the system notification, Lu Chongsheng knew that his 5th child with a spiritual root, Lu Kursin, had completed the absorption of qi into her body. He wasn't surprised by this. After all, according to the timing, Lu Kursin should have completed it by now. Now that it was done, it was even slower than those like Lu Xianji and the others before her. It was just slightly surprising that an achievement lottery was triggered with just 5 children. He had thought it would take 10. But this increase is quite good. At this rate, won't all my future descendants basically have a spiritual root? Lu Chongsheng, seeing the increase in the probability of his offspring's spiritual roots, nodded slightly with joy. After all, his children were his foundation. System, draw the lottery. Lu Chongsheng exhaled lightly and began the lottery draw. A pale red virtual lottery wheel appeared and quickly started spinning. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the cultivation technique, 99 Mystical Talisman Scripture. The reward has been issued to the system space, where the host can check it at any time. An image of a translucent jade scroll appeared, accompanied by the system notification. 99 Mystical Talisman Scripture? A talisman inheritance? Lu Chongsheng, seeing this cultivation technique, raised an eyebrow slightly, showing a trace of interest. The cultivation world possessed 100 arts of cultivation. Each art was profoundly complex and could evolve into a path. Although he had a second-rank full-level talisman-making skill, it was merely an array of basic talisman skills. He did not possess any profoundly mysterious talisman inheritance. Or rather, such profound skill inheritance was not only rare but also required a high threshold for cultivation. Besides certain demands on the spiritual root, there were other requirements as well. For example, Spirit Taming Sect, one of the 3 great immortal sects of Jiang country, and as famous as Qingyun sect, the sect was renowned for beast taming. However, such sects not only looked at the talent of one's spiritual root but also at the compatibility between an individual and spiritual beasts. In the Immortal sex assessments, even if you had a lower-grade spiritual root but you naturally resonated and were compatible with certain spiritual beasts, they would still admit you into the sect. I remember that there are no sects with talisman inheritance in Jiang country. On the other hand, in Yu country next door, there is a sect known as Beast Talisman Sect. Famous for Talisman Path, their sect-protecting cultivation technique, Beast Talisman Scripture, can integrate demon beasts and talismans together, creating an extremely formidable power. Lu Chongxing thought to himself. The southern wilderness cultivation realm was vast, and Jiang country was but a corner of it. Through various epistles and travel notes, Lu Chongxing knew that Jiang country was only considered a mid-sized nation, and there were many more nations outside. Each country would have different inheritances and sects. Although Jiang country had the beast taming sect because of the country's overlord level sect, the heavenly sword sect, when other countries' cultivation realms talked about Jiang country's cultivation realm, the first thing they thought of were sword cultivators. Lu Chongxing did not dwell on it further, turning his attention to the system space to check the details of the cultivation technique he had just drawn. Cultivation technique. 99 Mystical Talisman Scripture. Grade. Orthodox level. Description. The mysterious talisman sect-protecting technique, containing 99 unique spiritual patterns. Reflect on talismans for mental cultivation. With accomplished practice, one can draw talismans in the void, refine talismans into formation, and sacrificing talisman soldiers. Its methods are profound and its power is boundless. This 99 mystical talisman scripture really lives up to being an orthodox level cultivation technique. It's so comprehensive. Lu Chongxing, looking at the description of 99 mystical talisman scripture in front of him, was pleasantly surprised. System. Transmit the inheritance. His mental spirit stirred immediately, and he used the 99 mystical talisman scripture. Instantly, the method for cultivating the 99 mystical talisman scripture and related content, all the essential pointers, poured into Lu Chongxing's mind like enlightenment. Lu Chongxing stood still, immersing his mental spirit in comprehending this orthodox level talisman inheritance technique. Chapter 408. The Second Spiritual Body Child. _1. True to a talisman inheritance technique, this 99 mystical talisman scripture is indeed complex and profound. Lu Chongxing opened his eyes and exhaled lightly. Just now, through the system inheritance and a thorough infusion of knowledge, he had fully comprehended the 99 mystical talisman scripture. As for the cultivation methods and related content within it, he knew all key points by heart, mastering them perfectly. Yet even so, he couldn't help but marvel at the complexity and mysteries of this 99 mystical talisman scripture. The core of the technique lies in the 81 special spiritual patterns within the scripture. Each of these 81 patterns could evolve into hundreds or thousands of intricate runes. Combining and arranging these spiritual patterns and derived runes, one could create 129,600 types of spirit talismans. This number was astounding. To know, as a fully leveled second-rank talisman master, Lu Chongxing's total number of mastered talismans barely surpassed 1,000. As for Lu Miaoge, currently a top-level first-grade talisman master, the number of talismans she mastered didn't even reach 100. Because human energy is limited. Each talisman requires time to practice and master. Even second- or third-rank talisman masters who could easily draw first-rank talismans still needed to invest time and energy. And yet, the 81 spiritual patterns in this 99 mystical talisman scripture encompass 129,600 spirit talismans. That's why these 81 spiritual patterns are each incredibly profound and difficult to comprehend. Therefore, to fully understand and accurately depict all 81 patterns is exceedingly difficult, too difficult. Enough to consume the lifetimes of many core formation, nascent soul, and even divinity transformation cultivators. Beyond these 81 spiritual patterns, this scripture also involves formations. Talisman formations, talisman refinement formation. Ordinary cultivators and even talisman masters employ talismans in relatively simple ways. Just like casting techniques, they activate and use the talismans. Even if they have a vast amount of talismans, they just use them in a simple barrage. This method not only wastes talismans, but its power and effectiveness are also mediocre. Sometimes, because of too many and too messy talismans, activating too many at once can be difficult to control, leading to mana flux and self-harm. However, the talisman formation within the 99 mystical talisman scripture perfectly solves this drawback. It links talismans together in harmonious compatibility, not only reducing the demands for divine sense control but also allowing dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of talismans to activate simultaneously, with their power stacking up to form a talisman formation. Though it cannot be maintained for long, it's faster and simpler than a formation tool. The moment thousands of talismans scatter down, the formation takes shape instantly with astounding power. Phew! This 99 mystical talisman scripture is excessively complex. Only someone with extraordinary talent and genius in the talisman path can cultivate it, Lu Chongqing murmured as he exhaled deeply. Otherwise, even if one cultivates the power of this scripture, if they cannot fully comprehend the spiritual patterns, they won't be able to showcase the true might of these techniques. Lu Chongqing took another deep breath and released it gently. He clearly recognized that the difficulty of this scripture was not in the cultivation of the technique, but in the understanding and the delineation of the 81 spiritual patterns. Only by grasping the core spiritual patterns of this technique could he maximize the myriad methods contained within the scripture, such as the life-bound divine talisman, void drawing of talismans, talisman refinement formation, and sacrificial refinement of talisman soldiers. Otherwise, even with access to the scripture, if one couldn't comprehend the spiritual patterns, they would only have slightly denser mana than ordinary cultivators, unable to unleash the true capabilities of the scripture. Perhaps it is due to the challenging nature of this technique that there are few sects specializing in it. For cultivators, even though they cultivate divine skills and techniques, in the end, the cultivation realm is the foundation. If too much effort is spent on other aspects, it will inevitably delay one's cultivation, he pondered. However, if I were to fully comprehend and grasp the entire 99 mystical talisman scripture, once the talisman formation is formed, its lethality would be even more fierce and domineering than the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture I'm currently cultivating. Lu Chongqing thought silently to himself. Through the transmission of the technique, he knew clearly the most powerful aspect of the 99 mystical talisman scripture, making it plaything-like to overcome enemies above one's rank with hundreds or thousands of talismans formed into a talisman formation. With proper preparations and enough talismans, even those at the foundation establishment stage could have a chance to subdue core formation cultivators. Of course, as powerful as it truly was exorbitantly expensive. After all, such a talisman formation needed to be built with actual talismans. It couldn't be said that the talisman formation could also be formed with void drawing of talismans. The so-called void drawing of talismans was just a supplementary technique to this cultivation practice, allowing one to condense talismans to combat enemies without relying on talisman materials, simply consuming mana. Although I once switched to cultivating this 99 mystical talisman scripture and won't be able to condense a life-bound divine talisman, relying on the 81 spiritual patterns and the 129,600 derived talismans, along with void drawing of talismans and talisman refinement formation techniques, I can display about 70% of the scripture's potency, Lu Chongqing declared before admitting. However, the effectiveness is still several degrees less than cultivating the scripture itself. He spoke softly to himself. Although the scripture was formidable, he had no intention of switching his cultivation practice. After all, the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture he was currently cultivating was no less remarkable than the 99 mystical talisman scripture. The 7 luminaries' heart lamp within the sword scripture was an excellent tool for cultivation. Without it, his cultivation speed would perhaps be half as slow. Moreover, mastering these 81 spiritual patterns and numerous techniques from the scripture were already enough for him. There was no need to insist on obtaining a life-bound divine talisman or several other methods. Setting everything else aside, with the 129,600 talismans from this 99 mystical talisman scripture, I can dominate a market niche with these exclusive spirit talismans, attractive to countless people, he considered. Chapter 409. the second spiritual body child. Lu Chongqing chuckled softly. Most of the talismans in the market were common ones. Only a small number of people and powers held a few exclusive talismans and talisman inheritances. And how many of these powerful exclusive talismans existed in the 99 mystical talisman scripture was anybody's guess. From Lu Changsheng's perspective, in the future, his family could completely rely on these various talismans to establish a foothold and occupy a segment of the market in the cultivation world. Although I don't cultivate the 99 mystical talisman scripture, besides the 129,600 talismans, it also contains methods for crafting several talisman instruments. Among them, there is one talisman instrument, the 99 Mysterious True Strategy, which assists in talisman refinement formation. It is very suitable for me. I could try to craft a simplified imitation. As for talisman warriors, according to the cultivation technique, crafting talisman warriors consumes a lot of time and energy, as well as cultivation level to nurture them. Currently, my cultivation level only allows me to craft ordinary force talisman warriors. Such talisman warriors can only do rough work and are not capable of fighting against others. To me, they are a waste of time and energy. Only when my cultivation level is higher and I have time and am willing to invest effort in crafting advanced level talisman warriors, will they have some combat effectiveness. However, within this scripture, there is a rather good talisman nurturing method. It involves drawing spirit talismans with excellent talisman materials and then spending time continuously nurturing the talismans, enabling a first-grade talisman to exhibit the power of a second-rank talisman, and a second-rank talisman to exhibit the power of a third-rank talisman. Currently, I can only draw second-rank supreme talismans, but with this talisman nurturing method, I can nurture several third-rank talismans for self-defense. That way, if I encounter a nascent soul immortal, I will also have some ability to protect myself. Lu Chongqing pondered silently to himself, considering what aspects of the 99 mystical talisman scripture could be beneficial to him at the moment. Apart from mastering many powerful talismans, he could also craft a formation path talisman instrument. After all, talisman refinement formation can be considered the essence of this cultivation technique. It would allow him to elevate his combat capabilities by a level. And with the talisman nurturing method from the 99 mystical talisman scripture, he could nurture a few life-saving talismans. In this way, even if he encountered nascent soul immortals or false core immortals, he would have some means of self-protection. But to craft a simplified version of the 99 Mysterious True Strategy, I need to use rare materials like black obsidian essence iron and the iron of the 5 metals. Several of these materials are third-rank heavenly treasures, and it is clearly impossible to gather them all in the Red Leaf Valley market. Also, to nurture third-rank treasure talismans, I must use third-rank materials to draw the talismans. Lu Chongqing furrowed his brows slightly. After all, the Red Leaf Valley market was just a newly established marketplace. Even among medium-sized markets, it was considered relatively inferior, at the bottom of the scale. Thus, purchasing third-rank materials in the market was very difficult. Unless one had fortuitous luck, otherwise acquiring such materials was nearly impossible. After Shiyu and the Lu family affairs are dealt with, he'll first go to the Qingyun Commerce Guild in the Nine Dragons Market to see. If the Nine Dragons Market doesn't have them, I could take a trip to Zhouxiao Immortal City and just happen to pick up the rewards for the 2 robbers I hunted. Lu Chongqing mused softly in his heart. In his view, it was worth making a trip out to craft a talisman instrument and nurture treasure talismans. With his current strength comparable to the late stage of Foundation establishment, heading to the Immortal City wouldn't be dangerous as long as he didn't run into any nascent soul immortals. Later, he'll craft some sets of talismans that can form a talisman formation. That way, encountering late Foundation establishment or even false core robber cultivators shouldn't be a big deal. Lu Chongqing thought to himself in secret. Now, with his divine sense comparable to the late stage of Foundation establishment and the profound origin bead at his side, he could easily deploy some talisman formations as long as he had enough talismans. If he formed a talisman formation with 100 second-rank talismans, he was confident he could suppress a cultivator at the late stage of Foundation establishment. As for false core immortals, Lu Chongqing had never encountered one. so he was unsure of their strength. But based on the power of a talisman formation composed of 100 second-rank talismans, even if he couldn't kill the opponent, he could at least cause them severe damage. Since Xiao Xie could give birth at any moment, Lu Chongqing, aside from occasionally visiting the Lu family's spiritual talisman shop and peace talisman hall, spent most of his time accompanying Xiao Xie, waiting for the child to be born. 1 month later, inside the cultivation cave, Lu Chongqing held Xiao Xie's delicate, boneless palm tightly. Wah! A clear cry of a baby echoed. At the same time, a profound and intense fluctuation burst forth, accompanied by a system notification sound. Congratulations on the birth of your second child with a spiritual body. You have won a lottery chance. What? A spiritual body? Even though Lu Chongqing had previously guessed that this child would have good talent, he was startled when he heard this system notification. He hadn't expected Xiao Xie's child to actually have a spiritual body, and moreover, to receive a system reward after giving birth to a spiritual body child for the second time. But considering the rarity of a spiritual body, Lu Chongqing also felt somewhat relieved. He didn't dwell on it and quickly regained his composure, turning his attention back to Xiao Xie. He used a gentle breeze and dewdrop talisman on Xiao Xie to adjust her body and replenish her damaged vital energy. Shiyu, I've made you go through so much. Lu Chongqing held the child with one hand and performed a cleansing technique before embracing his beloved wife. I have finally borne a child for Lu Lang. Xiao Xie nestled in her lover's embrace, her slightly pale and weak face glowing with a radiant maternal smile. During her pregnancy, she had been looking forward to the child's birth, wondering whether it would be a boy or a girl, and whether the child would have a spiritual root talent. True, she had prepared a secret art technique during her time in Qingyun sect, and had nurtured the child with her moonlight spirit body, significantly increasing the chances of the child having a spiritual root with good talent. But there was no way to be absolutely certain. Chapter 410. The Second Spiritual Body Child. Lu Lang. Look at this child. She's actually not crying. She's looking at me and smiling, Xiao Xie said to Lu Chongqing, holding the baby in his arms, in a soft voice. This child was a girl. Her skin was like jade, fair with a rosy undertone, and 2 large eyes, clear-cut in black and white, were looking at Lu Chongqing and Xiao Xie. Yes, this child. Shiyu. You carried her for 11 months before giving birth. She is surely extraordinary. Look at these eyes. This nose, so much like yours. Lu Chongqing looked at the child and laughed. Thanks to the improvements from the Immortal beauty technique and peach blossom goo, Lu Chongqing had extraordinarily handsome features, which meant his children were all either strikingly handsome or beautiful. There were no ugly children. Lu Lang. You're always so flattering. She's so little, how can you even tell? Xiao Xie looked at the child's facial features, also very happy, revealing a blissful smile. Then she asked, Lu Lang, have you thought of a good name for this child? I have, of course, thought of one, Lu Chongqing replied immediately upon hearing this. Since it's a girl, I hope she can be like you, Shiyu, akin to the Guanghan fairy of the 9 heavens bright moon. So, as for the name, how about Wangshu? What do you think? Lu Chongqing smiled and said aloud. Wangshu, in ancient mythology, is the deity who drives the moon's chariot and is also a poetic reference to the moon itself. He now enjoyed picking names with meanings related to his wife's name. Wangshu, Lu Wangshu. Xiao Xie repeated the child's name, a smile appearing on her somewhat pale and weak face. She obviously also heard the meaning in the name. If Shiyu has thought of any good names, that's fine too, Lu Chongqing continued. Having picked hundreds of names, he wasn't particularly concerned about the names of his children. Any name his wife fancied would be fine. Shiyu is very satisfied with this name, Xiao Xie said with a gentle smile. Then, the two of them held their child, whispering sweet nothings to each other, filled with endearment and affection. Meanwhile, Qingyun sect, atop the luxurious palace on Kaiyun Peak, A breathtakingly beautiful woman stood quietly at the balustrade, gazing into the distance. Her beauty was difficult to describe with mere words like nation-toppling. Tall and slender, her graceful figure was dressed in a gown that resembled flowing rosy clouds. Her long, luscious black hair was elegantly styled in a bun, fastened with a phoenix-shaped hairpin, conveying her nobility and grace beyond compare. Even standing still, she emitted a presence that made others feel unworthy and dared not to defile her majestic beauty. More than 3 years have passed, and I wonder how Shiyu is doing. Yun Wanshang gazed into the distance, a surge of emotions suddenly filling her heart, prompting thoughts of her disciple Xiaoxia, who had left the mountain. When Xiaoxia had left the mountain, she told her that this period of trials could last a short 3 years or as long as 5 years. Now that 3 years had passed, an unexpected rush of emotions made her think of Xiaoxia's circumstances. Although Xiaoxia's trials were not supposed to be very dangerous, Yun Wanshang still couldn't help but worry. In her spare time, she pondered the supreme forgetful love technique. With the insights Xiaoxia had previously provided, Yun Wanshang had different realizations upon reflection, gaining a deeper understanding of the profound mysteries of this cultivation technique. She understood that the supreme forgetful love technique's process from attachment to detachment made it easier to become deeply ensnared with each advancement in cultivation. One careless step and one might never be able to extricate oneself. After all, everyone has their emotions and desires. Even those with firm Tao hearts find it difficult to contend with the complexities of emotions. Master! Just then, a woman in a white palace gown approached the pavilion and bowed to Yun Wanshang. This woman appeared to be around 25 or 26 years old. She had a striking, well-defined face, with sharp, narrow eyes that combined feminine softness with a hint of brisk coldness. Her nose was shapely and her lips tender, naturally rosy without the need for rouge. Her long black hair was simply tied back in a ponytail, and she carried an azure, wavering spiritual sword on her back. She exuded a cool, aloof aura, like a peerless sword fairy. "Qingyi, you're back. Is there any progress?" Yun Wanshang asked as she turned to look at the woman. This disciple was Chu Qingyi, her eldest one, who had been sent out on a mission. "Master, according to my investigation, there are indeed issues with the Xiahou family. They show signs of practicing demonic techniques," Chu Qingyi reported, her voice crisp and cold. "Have you been able to determine which demonic technique these traces originate from? Could it be the work of a spy from another nation?" Yun Wanshang asked, not surprised by the news. "I haven't discovered relevant information yet, but through certain clues, it seems the Xiahou family's demonic techniques are related to the practice of refining corpses," Chu Qingyi stated. "Refining corpses?" Upon hearing this, Yun Wanshang's starry, brilliant eyes showed a trace of coldness. Overt spiritual bodies are like Lu Qingshan's Gengjin body constitution. They can be directly detected. As soon as one begins cultivation, they naturally exhibit their might. Recessive spiritual bodies, however, remain hidden and are hard for people to discern. One might need to reach a certain age or go through certain methods to awaken the spiritual body and exhibit its might. Just like his friend Zhao Qingqing, she possessed a Veg body constitution. But initially, her spiritual body hadn't awakened, nor had it been detected. It was later, while managing the herb garden, that an external elder from the Qingyun sect noticed her situation and awakened her spiritual body. "No wonder I didn't feel any change. They'll need to look up information about this blood talisman spiritual body later. See what methods can be used to awaken the spiritual body." Lu Chongxing murmured to himself, planning to check the information about this spiritual body later. This blood talisman spiritual body, being an upper-grade spiritual body, is a level higher than Qingshan's Gengjin body constitution, and is clearly not simple. And by the name, it should be related to the talisman path, some kind of talisman path spiritual body. A talisman path spiritual body, like a sword cultivator's supreme sword bone or a poison cultivator's calamitous poison body, is naturally suited for the talismanic Great Tao, with inherent extraordinary talent for talismans. If that's the case, then the 99 mystical talisman scripture I obtained earlier might be greatly developed in the hands of this child. Lu Chongqing thought to himself, looking at the pink and tender, sweet and lovely infant in his arms. A surge of affection and joy involuntarily rose from the bottom of his heart. Based on the recent pulse sensation of the spiritual root, this child should have a 4th grade spiritual root. Lu Chongqing then reflected on this child's spiritual root. With a slight stirring of his mental spirit, he brought up his daughter's system panel. Name, Lu Wangshu. Lifespan, 182nd. Talent, 4th grade spiritual root. Blood talisman spiritual body, upper grade spiritual body. Cultivation level, none. There it is, a 4th grade spiritual root. A 4th grade spiritual root with an upper grade spiritual body. This child will become one of the pillars of the Lu family. A smile emerged on Lu Changsheng's face. His heart was filled with anticipation for the child's future. Lu Qingshan with a 6th grade spiritual root, possessing the Gengjin body constitution. Lu Qingxian with a 4th grade spiritual root. Lu Wangshu with a 4th grade spiritual root, and the blood talisman spiritual body. My Lu family has indeed gained a few pillar seeds for the future. Lu Chongqing rejoiced inwardly. He had 146 children. The first batch of these children were already stepping into adulthood one after another. They were about to start their own families and businesses, providing fresh blood to stabilize the Lu family. Among the 146, 36 possessed spiritual roots. These younger children were the foundation for establishing a future cultivation family. And among these 36, 3 were geniuses, destined to become the future pillars of the family. The days ahead are becoming more and more promising. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath and exhaled gently. His mind involuntarily started to plan for the future. Now, the issues are the spiritual land, the family's great formation, and the initial capital. Lu Chongqing had a clear vision for the future, establishing his own cultivation family, but currently there were 3 problems in establishing the family. For the spiritual land, he planned to obtain it through the channel of Wuxia and Qingyun sect, or through the Lu family's bid for Red Leaf Valley. For the family's great formation, I can only wait for the system to act. In the coming time, the surge of children should trigger many achievement rewards. If it really doesn't work out, I can ask Shiyu to invite a formation master from Qingyun sect when the time comes. As for the family's initial capital, I should be able to accumulate it through the 2nd rank talismans. Chapter 412. Blood Talisman Spiritual Body, 2nd rank Alchemy. When these children are about big enough, these 3 aspects should also be about ready, Lu Chongqing thought to himself. System, draw a prize. Without further thought, Lu Chongqing silently invoked again in his mind. He intended to use the lotteries he had just won. The prize will emerge, shining with golden light, spinning rapidly. Under Lu Changsheng's calm gaze, the golden light eventually stopped on skills. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2nd rank alchemy skills. The reward has been issued to the system space, and the host may check it at any time. A light orb in the shape of an elixir emerged from the prize wheel, accompanied by the system's voice. Alchemy. 2nd rank alchemy. Lu Chongqing saw the reward for his lottery draw and felt a surge of joy. Among the 100 arts of cultivation, what he most wanted at the moment was formation. After that, it was alchemy. These 2 crafts are not only among the mainstream 4 arts in the cultivation world and upper-class professions, but also very useful to him at the moment. As for formation, there's no need to say more. It concerns the great formation of his future family and the placement of the family's formations. Otherwise, buying array plates and hiring other array masters to arrange great formations, he really couldn't be at ease. From the previously seen Heaven and Qingyun Water Great Formation in Red Leaf Valley Market, one could see that the level of such a 2nd rank great formation was very ordinary. Using such formation for his own family, Lu Chongqing really couldn't be at ease. Besides mastering formations and arranging great formations by himself, in times of danger, activating the great formation and presiding over it could maximize the power of the formation. It's incomparable to presiding over a great formation arranged by others, through array plates or array tools. As for alchemy, after his breakthrough in foundation establishment, purchasing second-rank elixir medicines became very difficult. Normally, he could only take energy-refining elixirs to aid his cultivation. Now that he had mastered second-rank alchemy skills, he no longer had to worry about elixirs. With second-rank alchemy, not only can I solve my current need for elixirs, in the future, I might even be able to refine foundation-building elixirs. Lu Chongqing rejoiced in his heart. Then he looked toward the light orb in the system space. Second-rank alchemy skills. Upon use, one can directly comprehend second-rank full-level alchemy skills and the corresponding complete compendium of elixir formulas. Wait, are all the skills second rank? Are there no third ranks? Lu Chongqing pondered as he looked at the alchemy skills before him. Including this alchemy skills, he had drawn 4 sets of skills from the system. All of these skills were second rank. It made Lu Chongqing curious whether he could draw third-rank skills. Without much further thought, he used the second-rank alchemy skills from the system space. Suddenly, a flood of knowledge and information poured into his mind from nowhere. Introduction to Alchemy, Basic Alchemy Compendium, First-Rank Alchemy Compendium, Second-Rank Alchemy Compendium. How elixir medicines are made, 10 years of qi refinement, 100 years of alchemy. After a while, a deluge of knowledge about alchemy flowed into Lu Chongqing's mind. It gave him an understanding of various elixirs, pharmacology, alchemy techniques, temperature control, and so on. Alchemy really is worthy of being one of the mainstream 4 arts of cultivation. From distinguishing the pharmacology of various spiritual medicines, the kings and ministers in each elixir, flame control, different alchemy techniques, spells, amalgamating elixirs, and finalizing them. Lu Chongqing digested the knowledge about alchemy skills in his mind. He felt that the skill was indeed extremely complicated. However, it seems that making high-level second-rank elixirs isn't as simple as I had imagined. After digesting the knowledge, Lu Chongqing furrowed his brows slightly. Now that he had a detailed understanding of alchemy, he knew that ordinary elixirs were very simple to make. 1 pill furnace, 1 fire control formation, or alternatively natural mana solidifying into flame would suffice. But to make certain advanced elixirs, ordinary fire wouldn't do. You would need innate true fire, heavenly spiritual fire, or earth core fire. If I want to make advanced level elixirs, I still need to cultivate a spell or divine skill for condensing innate true fire. Thinking of practicing spells gave Lu Chongqing a headache, because his initial practice of soul dispersion needle made him aware that his aptitude for techniques was very average. Just like the soul dispersion needle, this divine sense attack secret technique, he pondered and attempted it whenever he was free. In the end, it took him over a year to master it. And only then was he able to condense 3 soul-scattering needles in his divine sense, capable of conducting 3 divine sense attacks on others. Now, the thought of having to practice spells made his head ache. Never mind, this is not urgent. The flame solidified by the mana of a foundation establishment cultivator is enough for me to refine most elixirs. When I truly need innate true fire to refine advanced level elixirs, maybe you'll draw some kind of heavenly spiritual fire, or have the conditions to build my own alchemy chamber. Lu Chongqing exhaled lightly and didn't dwell too much on the innate true fire. After a cultivator breaks through to foundation establishment, the spiritual fire that condenses with one's own mana could satisfy most needs for alchemy and artifact refining. After Lu Wangshu was born, Lu Chongqing had originally planned to rent a courtyard and hire a wet nurse to care for the child. But Xiao Xie said she had been out for more than 3 years and planned to return to Qingyun's sect in another half a year. So in this half year, she wanted to spend more time with the child and was against hiring a wet nurse. Facing this situation, of course, Lu Chongqing had little to say, and he went along with her. But he rented another courtyard anyway. After all, a cave dwelling of about 100 square feet was a bit too small and suffocating for an infant. Shiyu, there's something I need to deal with regarding the Lu family. After spending most of a month with Xiao Xie, Lu Chongsheng spoke up. He discussed the matter of the second-grade Talisman Masters Convention. Chapter 413. Blood Talisman Spiritual Body, Second Rank Alchemy. He indicated that he would probably be busy for a while. No worries, Lu Lang. Go ahead, important matters come first. Xiao Xie didn't throw a fit. She knew that, over the past few years, Lu Chongqing had already spent a lot of time on her. The second-grade Talisman Master Ceremony was related to presenting Lu Changsheng's skills to the outside world, and that certainly counted as important business. Okay, they'll come back as soon as I'm done. Lu Chongqing nodded. Then he visited Lu Miaoge and his son Lu Xianji before returning to Qingzhou Mountain. Back home, Lu Chongsheng chatted briefly with his wives and children, had a meal, and then headed out to discuss the details of the ceremony with Lu Miaocheng. He also planned to ask for more materials for second-rank talisman making, to be used in assembling a talisman formation. Dad, I have to tell you, I found a treasure. At that moment, his son Lu Qingshan came trotting over to Lu Changsheng's side, speaking mysteriously. A treasure? What kind of treasure? Lu Chongsheng, seeing how secretive his son was acting, arched an eyebrow and asked with a smile. Hee, let me show you. Lu Qingshan grinned, pulling out a golden bean the size of a chicken egg from inside his clothes. This golden bean even had a tiny sprout growing from it. The sprout was green and tender, with a few jade-like leaves on it. How did you dig up the golden bean from my yard? Lu Chongqing stared at the bean in his son's hand, taken aback, and spoke out. This golden bean was, in fact, the golden armor bean mother he had planted in his own yard. Dad, you planted this treasure? When Lu Qingshan heard this, he also froze, and with a guilty conscience, stammered out his response. He had thought the golden bean was a chance treasure he had found. He never expected it to be something his own father had planted. What else? If you're going to find treasures, you should go out and look for them, not dig up treasures from your own yard, Lu Chongqing said irritably, giving his son's head a tap. The golden armor bean mother was just fine growing in his yard, and here his son had dug it up thinking it was a treasure. It was both exasperating and amusing. How did you find this bean? Lu Chongqing asked. Nobody other than Lu Miaoyun, Chu Jinjin, and a few others would go into the yard. The kids usually didn't play there either. Plus, this golden armor bean mother was planted in a corner of the yard, concealed by spiritual earth. I asked Xiao Jin to find treasures, and then he found this golden bean. When I saw this golden bean, I felt an inexplicable closeness to it. I thought it was the destined treasure you read about in books. Lu Qingshan held his head with both hands, looking somewhat aggrieved. He was saddened that the opportunity he thought he had was now gone. He had been so elated earlier today. Now that elation was for nothing. Xiao Jin. Lu Chongqing naturally knew that Xiao Jin was the earth spirit mouse he had given to Lu Qingzhu. Lu Qingzhu, keeping this earth spirit mouse, usually just played and cuddled with it. And since Lu Qingshan heard that this creature could find treasures, he probably got it to search for treasures, resulting in a search that led to his own yard. After figuring out what had happened, Lu Chongqing was somewhat speechless. But hearing that Lu Qingshan felt close to the bean, he couldn't help but ask, Qingshan, you said you felt close to this golden bean? Yeah, so when I first saw this golden bean, I felt inexplicably drawn to it. I thought my lucky break had come. Lu Qingshan replied listlessly. Close to it? Could it be because of the Gengjin body constitution? Lu Chongqing pondered upon hearing this. The golden armor bean mother could transform into a golden armor warrior. This golden armor warrior was of the metal element, so it made sense for it to attract someone with a Gengjin body constitution. He held the golden armor bean mother in his hand, focusing on it intently. Indeed, he could faintly sense a closeness. But since he had won the golden armor bean mother from the system, it was already connected to him. so he hadn't noticed the subtle attraction caused by the Genjin body constitution. This golden bean was planted by Dad in our yard. After planting, it can blossom and bear spiritual beans. Look, this is the bean's sprout, and these are the bean's leaves. In a few more years, the bean will flower and bear fruit. After the beans bear fruit, Dad will give you one, Lu Chongsheng said aloud. He didn't blame his son. Dad, how many little beans can this golden bean produce at one time? Lu Qingshan immediately perked up upon hearing this and asked curiously. It can produce 5 to 10, but the actual number will depend on how it's nurtured. Like your habit of digging it up, that will affect the number of beans it can bear later on. Lu Chongxing threw a glance at his son and remarked, although it was nourished by the tricolored soil, looking at the bean right now, he estimated that it could probably yield only 7 or 8 beans. Getting a full 10 would be tough. Then, Dad, give me 2 extra beans, right? I'll give one to Sister Qingzhu when the time comes. Lu Qingshan immediately chimed in with a laugh. Willing to share the good stuff, huh? All right, I'll give you 2 extra, and I'll give one to Qingsong too. Lu Chongxing replied with a chuckle. Lu Qingsong was Lu Miohuan's second son, Lu Qingshan's younger brother. Dad, when will this golden bean bear fruit? Lu Qingshan continued to inquire. By the time you're nearly grown up, this golden bean should be able to bear fruit, Lu Chongxing answered. Dad, I'm 7 years old. I'm an adult now. Lu Qingshan puffed out his chest proudly and exclaimed. By the time you're 15, this bean should be able to bear fruit. Lu Chongxing looked at his son, who was only about 1 meter tall, and chuckled. The golden armor bean mother takes 3 years to germinate, 3 years to grow leaves, 3 years to flower, and 3 years to produce fruit. But with the nourishment of the tricolored soil, this growth rate was significantly accelerated. Chapter 414. Blood Talisman Spiritual Body, Second Rank Alchemy. _4. Now, after 3.5 years, the leaves have already grown tender and dewy. Therefore, Lu Chongxing estimated that in another 6 or 7 years, the golden armor bean mother could possibly bear beans. That long, huh? Lu Qingshan's spirits deflated immediately upon hearing this. Not long at all. You can water the beans every day. Maybe that will help them grow faster. Thinking of the affinity between the Genjin body constitution and the beans, Lu Chongxing said so. As the Genjin body constitution resonated somewhat with the golden armor bean mother, regular contact might aid in its growth. Just like some spiritual plant masters use certain techniques to improve the growth of spirit plants. Dad, no problem. But what's the benefit for me? Lu Qingshan showed a pleasing look. Benefits? Lu Chongxing looked at his son's youthful face and smiled. This golden bean should yield about 8 beans. When the time comes, I'll give you 3. If you take good care of them and they yield more than 8 beans, all the extra ones will be yours. How about that? Deal. Lu Qingshan agreed immediately with a nod. He even added, Dad, you can't go back on your word and cheat a kid later. Aren't you an adult now? How did you become a child again? Lu Chongxing chuckled. In front of you, Dad, I'll always be a child. Lu Qingshan said with a giggle. Hee. Dad always keeps his word, never deceiving anyone. Come on, let's replant this golden bean. Lu Chongxing brought his son back to their courtyard. He shook his head at the exposed little pit and planted the golden armor bean mother into it. This soil even glows. How can you not realize it's a treasure? Lu Chongxing, looking at the exposed 3-color soil, asked his son. Is this soil also a treasure? At the time, Xiao Jin said there was a treasure here, and I thought the treasure was just this bean. I didn't pay much attention to anything else. Lu Qingshan scratched his head as he reacted. Look at you. Can't even recognize all the treasures, and yet you're out treasure hunting. Study more diligently in the future and recognize all the treasures. That way you won't miss any opportunities when you go out. Lu Chongxing advised his son. The school at Qingzhou Mountain not only had great scholars teaching reading and writing. There were also cultivators teaching cultivation trials and knowledge of the cultivation world. After detecting a spiritual root, the age from 6 to 12 was all about learning. That's why family and Immortal sect children often knew more and had broader knowledge than loose cultivators. You're right, Dad. I will definitely listen to you and study hard. Lu Qingshan nodded earnestly, the picture of someone eagerly taking in lessons. Heh! Lu Chongqing chuckled softly as he watched his son. He knew his son's character well. This was just him going along with what he said. Lu Chongqing didn't mind. After all, he was currently only good at nurturing people. Teaching them was another matter. He couldn't guarantee that he could teach the child well. So as long as the child didn't grow up twisted, he let other matters take their own course. His philosophy was to let nature take its course, and to govern by doing nothing that goes against nature. After replanting the golden armor bean mother, Lu Chongqing took Lu Qingshan to see Lu Miaoyun. He asked her to take Lu Qingshan to water the beans with spiritual water and spiritual liquid regularly. Lu Miaoyun learned that Lu Qingshan had dug up the beans to play with and couldn't help but laugh and cry. Although she had been tasked with looking after the golden armor bean mother, she didn't water it with spiritual liquid every day. She watered it only every few days, so she didn't notice that Lu Qingshan had dug it up for play. However, this incident made her more alert and she planned to watch over it every day, lest the child played with it again and lost it, which would be bad. After dealing with this minor episode, Lu Chongqing went to the Qingzhou Hall to find the family head, Lu Miaocheng. He reported that he was ready in terms of talisman making, and if the family wanted to hold a ceremony, he was available at any time. Lu Miaocheng, upon hearing this, said he would arrange it right away, and that it would likely take place in 2 months. He also inquired about Lu Changsheng's proficiency with second-rank talismans. When he heard that Lu Changsheng's proficiency with the second-rank Thunderfire talismans was at 60 to 70%, and he had even made a start on several other second-rank spirit talismans, he was both surprised and delighted. Learning that Lu Chongqing needed second-rank talisman materials, Lu Miaocheng immediately allocated nearly 100 sets of second-rank talisman materials from the storeroom to Lu Chongqing. He mentioned that if Lu Chongqing needed more in the future, the family would reserve more second-rank talisman materials for him. Chapter 415. Master Lu. I fell in love with you at first sight. _1. Lu Changsheng's promotion to a second-grade talisman master, and the upcoming ceremony celebrating this feat spread rapidly through the entirety of Qingzhou Mountain like a storm. Previously, as Lu Chongqing had requested time to prepare, the news was only known to a select few senior members of the Lu family and had not been widely disseminated. Now, with the announcement within the Lu family, it instantly caused a flurry of joy and excitement. A second-grade talisman master, Elder Ninth, has actually been promoted to a second-grade talisman master. Although I've always heard about Uncle Changsheng's extraordinary talent in the talisman path, I didn't expect him to be promoted to a second-grade talisman master so soon. Reaching the status of a second-grade talisman master at such a young age, he truly has boundless prospects in the art of talismans. Our young lady is also a top-level first-grade talisman master. Perhaps she will also be promoted to a second-grade talisman master in the future. Now our Lu family has a second-grade talisman master as its pillar. Alas, I used to think that with Lu Chongqing having a 9th-grade spiritual root and his constant indulgence in pleasures of the flesh, even with his unusual talent for the talisman path, he wouldn't get very far, but now he's become a second-grade talisman master. Ever since I broke through to the energy refinement late stage, I've somewhat neglected my cultivation, lost in drink and pleasure. Compared to Lu Chongqing, what right do I have to fall into depravity? From today onwards, I swear off alcohol and will enter seclusion. A second-grade talisman master, why didn't I choose Lu Chongqing during the welcome feast back then? Had I known this would happen, even if it meant becoming a concubine to Lu Chongqing, I would have been willing. Inside Qingzhou Mountain, people who learned of this news felt either joy or emotion. Overall, there was an atmosphere of happiness. After all, for the Lu family, this was great news. the overall situation of the Lu family was flourishing. They had not only annihilated their sworn enemy, the Chun family of Red Leaf Valley, but also gained control of 40% of the Red Leaf Valley market. With Lu Yuanzhong in the prime of his life at the helm, the family was worry-free for a century. Now with Lu Chongqing as a second-grade talisman master, it was natural for everyone to be overjoyed. Congratulations to my husband on being promoted to a second-grade talisman master. Congratulations, father, on being promoted to a second-grade talisman master. Congratulations, daddy, on being promoted to a second-grade talisman master. At Lu Changsheng's home, all of his wives, concubines, maids, and children also came forward to offer their congratulations. Since the news had not been revealed earlier, Lu Chongqing had asked Lu Miaoyun to not mention it at home for the time being. Now that the news was announced, it naturally brought surprise and joy to his wives and children. After all, they all knew that their living standards depended on Lu Chongqing. The higher Lu Changsheng's standing and identity became, the more they could rise with the tide. Meanwhile, invitations were being sent out from Qingzhou Mountain to the Bai family of Hundred Birds Lake, the Zheng family of Wugong Ridge, and the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain, as well as to foundation establishment families that had interactions with the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain, neighboring small energy refining families, and business associates. Lu Chongqing also sent an invitation to his good friend Hong Yi. It wasn't for the purpose of gifts. Such a celebration wasn't about profiting. It was mainly for the sake of reputation. After all, the highest level of cultivators attending such a celebration would be at foundation establishment, with most being energy refining cultivators, unable to present any precious gifts. The entire celebration was likely to run at a loss. Unless it was a core formation ceremony, then the major foundation establishment powers might be willing to present substantial gifts. Thus, inviting Hong Yi was purely because of friendship. It was an opportunity for Hong Yi to expand his network through this celebration. At the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain, a second-grade talisman master celebration. I didn't expect this Lu Chongqing to have been promoted to a second-grade talisman master so soon. The patriarch of the Yu family looked at the invitation in his hand, his expression becoming pensive. As one of the several large families neighboring Qingzhou Mountain, they were naturally well aware of the situations of the families around them. Lu Chongqing had long been on the watch list of these families. Otherwise, the Yu family wouldn't have tried to recruit Lu Chongqing by sending Yu Ningyuan to dig at him and ordering an attack on him and Lu Miaoge. But he never expected that Lu Chongqing would be promoted to a second-grade talisman master so quickly. After all, talent is just talent. Who knows how many so-called geniuses were unable to take the next step after reaching the pinnacle of the first rank. However, this Lu Chongqing only has a 9th-grade spiritual root. Even with his extraordinary talent in the talisman path and ascending to 2nd grade, cultivation level is the foundation. Without the strength of cultivation level, he will find it difficult to make progress in the talisman path now. What's more intriguing is the mysterious foundation establishment female cultivator backing Lu Chongqing. She has never shown herself for many years now. I wonder if they are still in contact. The patriarch of the Yu family murmured to himself. A second-grade talisman master was certainly worthy of attention. But a foundation establishment great cultivator was even more fearsome. The reason their Yu family had not pressed aggressively against the Lu family in the Red Leaf Valley market over the years, instead opting for a soft approach, was also because of Meng Xiaoquan's influence. Unsure about the status of this mysterious foundation establishment great cultivator, he felt apprehensive. Huff! He exhaled lightly and put away the invitation, deciding to report this news to the family elder. At the Bai family of Hundred Birds Lake. A second-grade talisman master. I remember this Lu Chongqing being quite infatuated with pleasures of the flesh and fathering children. Currently, he has around 20 to 30 wives and concubines, with over 100 offspring. The Bai family head thought of the information he knew about Lu Chongqing. If a daughter of my Bai family were to marry Lu Chongqing and bear him children, perhaps we could form a connection with this talisman master. But Lu Chongqing is a son-in-law of the Lu family, so if we wish to offer a bride, it might be a bit tricky. He tapped his fingers lightly on the desk, his face showing contemplation. Status is but a cloud. Lu Chongqing is a man who deeply values loyalty and cherishes his offspring, allocating most resources to nurture them. As long as a daughter of my Bai family can bear him several talented children, what worries would there be for my Bai family's future? The Bai family head pondered, thinking of his family elder's current situation, and promptly made a decision. He then ordered the butler waiting outside, "Ask Fei Fei to come see me." Similar thoughts were shared by the Zheng family and several other small families or powers in the vicinity. Chapter 416. Master Lu, the young lady has fallen for you at first sight. After all, most cultivators do not spend too much time on starting families. Even if they take concubines, it's mostly for dual cultivation, enjoyment, or even for replenishment. Few ever have offspring. Without offspring, the effect of giving away daughters is naturally quite limited and not very significant. Someone like Lu Chongqing, who marries and takes concubines, prolifically begets children, and values love and loyalty, naturally sparks thoughts in others who wish to forge connections through such means. During the days of the Lu family's preparation for the celebration, Lu Chongqing was at home with his wives, concubines, and children, serenely crafting talismans. He was ready to turn all 100 sets of second-grade talisman-making materials obtained from the Lu family into talismans. With the profound origin bead and divine sense of foundation establishment late stage, I can even try drawing third-rank talismans, Lu Chongqing thought to himself after finishing a number of talismans in the talisman room. Feeling that with his current mana and divine sense, he could attempt to draw third-rank talismans. He had not considered drawing third-rank talismans before due to the lack of talisman materials as well as the absence of a third-rank talisman inheritance. Now, with the 99 mystical talisman scripture, there will never be a worry about inheritance. The scripture contains 126,600 variations of talismans derived from 81 types of spiritual patterns, covering everything from basic talismans to fifth-rank talismans. However, to draw third-rank talismans, I will also need third-rank talisman-making materials and a third-rank talisman brush. These can only be purchased in the Immortal City, Lu Chongqing muttered, letting out a breath and storing away the talismans before leaving the study. With his current mana and divine sense, he could continuously draw talismans for an entire day without feeling tired. But while at home, he still took time out to accompany his wives, concubines, and children to foster their relationships. "Husband, you have a letter." On seeing Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoyun handed over a letter, speaking out, "A letter for me?" Lu Chongqing was somewhat surprised on hearing this. He used to correspond with Hong Yi quite often, but since he went to Rui Prefecture every few months, he didn't exchange letters that much anymore. A letter from Feiyu? Lu Chongqing was a bit surprised upon seeing the sender. Li Feiyu, who had returned once 3 or 4 years ago and didn't find him, then proceeded to Azure Phoenix Immortal City, had been out of touch ever since. This was the first time he had written a letter to him. Lu Chongqing broke the seal on the letter and checked the contents. There wasn't much said in the letter. It was just a simple greeting with Li Feiyu sharing some observations and experiences from Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and then mentioning his breakthrough to 6th-level energy refinement, now settled in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, asking Lu Chongqing not to worry. He said that in case of any matters, letters could be sent to Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Since the journey was long, he didn't expect to return anytime soon. Therefore, he hoped Lu Chongqing, as his uncle, could help keep an eye on his children's well-being and arrange their marriages. It takes more than half a year to travel from Qingzhou Mountain to Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Feiyu's settling down in Azure Phoenix Immortal City and writing back now. Indeed, it has been more than 3 years. Lu Chongqing thought after reading the letter and feeling relieved to know his friend was fine. But he sighed at the thought of Li Feiyu's decision to settle in Azure Phoenix Immortal City for the long term. Clearly, Li Feiyu intended to carve out an achievement in the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, perhaps even aiming for foundation establishment before returning. Although Azure Phoenix Immortal City is known as a haven for loose cultivators, full of opportunities that have launched many into soaring success. One could imagine that making a name and achieving something of significance is not so simple. Li Feiyu is currently only at 6th level energy refinement. Without a great opportunity, breaking through to 9th level energy refinement may take more than a decade, and the chances of achieving foundation establishment are even slimmer. I can also visit Azure Phoenix Immortal City if there is a chance in the future, Lu Chongsheng said as he put away the letter, thinking that if he had time in the future, he could also take a trip to the Azure Phoenix Immortal City. After all, Azure Phoenix Immortal City is different from the other two major immortal cities. Located at the border between Jiang Country and Yu Country, near the Myriad Beasts mountain range, it is a sacred place for loose cultivators. Before one knew it, 2 months had passed. Today, Qingzhou Mountain is festooned with lanterns and streamers, radiating festive cheer. The patriarch of the Yu family from Bai Lake Mountain has arrived. The Bai family head from 100 Birds Lake has arrived. The foundation establishment ancestor from Wugong Ridge Sheng family has arrived. The family head from Ning family of Creek Mountain has arrived. The voices of the greeters were continuously raised, announcing each honored guest and the gifts they brought. Today is the celebration for Lu Chongqing, the 9th elder of the Lu family, for being promoted to 2nd grade talisman master. Chapter 417. Master Lu, the young lady has fallen for you at first sight. He had spent all his cultivation resources on his wives, concubines, and children. So, under the transmission of such news, many forces and small families began to harbor thoughts. They contemplated marrying off their daughters to forge a connection with Talisman Master Lu. After all, if their daughters or descendants could bear Talisman Master Lu several children of exceptional talent, it would be akin to making the acquaintance of a 2nd grade Talisman Master. At the moment, Lu Chongsheng was sitting on the high platform of the Great Hall with the Lu family ancestor, Lu Yuanzhong, accepting congratulations from others. Only when foundation establishment ancestors came forward did he and Lu Yuanzhong go up to greet them, exchanging pleasantries. At other times, there was no need for the two of them to welcome the guests. After all, the status of a 2nd grade talisman master barely qualified him to mingle with foundation establishment cultivators as equals. Or, to put it another way, foundation establishment cultivators were also willing to show a 2nd grade talisman master some respect. That is Lu Chongsheng. I heard he started as a son-in-law taken into the Lu family. TSK. From a son-in-law to showing such astonishing talent in the talisman path, achieving such success. The Lu family really got lucky, picking up a son-in-law who turned out to have such a gift for the talisman path. I heard the man has only a lower-grade spiritual root. Otherwise, with such a talent for the talisman path, breaking through to foundation establishment, I'm afraid his future would be boundless. Many looked up at Lu Chongsheng on the high platform with eyes filled with envy and jealousy. After all, for many small families or minor forces cultivators, life was incredibly tough. Seeing someone like Lu Chongsheng, who came from a humble background but turned his fate around with talent, they felt admiration, and at the same time, envy and resentment. Is that Master Lu? Such a handsome and unearthly man exists in this world. With such peerless looks and being a 2nd grade talisman master, he's truly both talented and handsome. Some of the young ladies and women, having been briefed by their families, couldn't help but be attracted from afar upon seeing Lu Chongsheng. Since today was the celebration for Lu Chongsheng, Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaohuan also dressed up beautifully for him. Their hair, neatly tied with a green jade crown, looked gentle and refined. They donned wide-sleeved robes of green jade color, with a golden jade belt embroidered with golden silk at the waist. On the left side of the jade belt hung an exquisitely patterned jade pendant, and they wore celestial blue boots with cloud patterns embroidered on them. The overall look was opulent yet understated, and as they moved, the spiritual light embroidery flowed through their garments, making the already handsome Lu Chongsheng even more dashing and otherworldly. If one could marry such Master Lu, it would be quite good. My sister was unwilling to come before, If she saw Master Lu, she would surely regret it. Master Lu is so handsome. He must be a very good person. Some young ladies initially resisted their family's arrangements, but upon seeing the handsome figure of Lu Chongqing, suddenly they were much less resistant. They felt that even becoming a concubine of such a Master Lu would be quite nice. The Marquis of Rui Prefecture has arrived. Following the announcer's call, a dignified man in his 50s and a middle-aged man in his 30s entered the Lu family villa. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing, they immediately offered congratulations. Congratulations to Master Lu on his success in the talisman path. Ancestor, this is Hong Yi, a secular friend of mine. Lu Chongqing introduced Hong Yi to Lu Yuanzhong with a nod toward the Marquis of Rui. Very good, since he is a friend of Chongqing, he shall henceforth be a friend of Qingzhou Mountain as well. Lu Yuanzhong smiled and nodded, showing great respect. Greetings to Lu Ancestor. Rui Prefecture's Lord and Hong Yi were both flattered and surprised. After all, Foundation establishment ancestors were usually lofty figures whom they could hardly ever meet. They hadn't expected that Lu Chongqing, now a second-grade talisman master, would still give them face and even introduce them to a Foundation establishment ancestor. Their hearts throbbed with excitement and elation. Uncle Hong, Brother Hong, please take a seat. Lu Chongqing didn't stand on ceremony and invited the two to sit. Some guests, upon seeing Lu Chongqing personally receiving the Lord of Rui Prefecture and Hong Yi, were both surprised and intrigued. They couldn't help but step forward to talk and get acquainted with the Lord and Hong Yi. As time passed, more and more guests arrived. The Lu family estate was extraordinarily lively with over 100 tables for the banquet. Lu Chongqing passed the time drinking and chatting with guests, along with Lu Yuanzhong. Master Lu, this is my great-granddaughter, Zhang Yongwan. She has long admired Master Lu. At this moment, the Zhang family ancestor introduced a 17 or 18-year-old girl to Lu Chongqing. The girl called Zhang Yongwan immediately blushed with bashfulness and shyly lowered her head. She hadn't expected her own ancestor to bring up such a matter in front of such a large public gathering. Lu Chongqing was somewhat flummoxed by the Zhang family ancestor's behavior. He mused that he was just a second-grade talisman master. Was it really necessary for a Foundation establishment ancestor to personally offer him a young woman? However, he also immediately realized that the Zhang family ancestor's life wasn't long for this world, and his family lacked a successor. Although they were seeking support from the Yu family, they knew the Yes support was unreliable. So, this Zhang family ancestor was also placing a bet on him, or rather, on the Lu family. He glanced at the girl named Zhang Yongwan. At 17 or 18, she possessed a cultivation of Qi refinement level 5. For her age and cultivation, she likely had a decent spiritual root, perhaps a middle-grade spiritual root. But specifically, without direct contact and examination, Lu Chongqing couldn't just tell. Regardless, he had no interest. After all, if he were to choose a young woman, he'd prefer someone without much of a background or entanglements. A girl like the one offered by the Zheng family ancestor not only came with family ties but could even affect the relationship between the Lu and Zheng families. Master Lu, this is my niece, Bai Feifei. I've heard that Master Lu lacks someone to attend to his daily needs. Feifei has fallen in love with Master Lu at first sight. Just then, the Bai family head, noting the Zheng family ancestor's move, immediately stepped forward with a gentle and beautiful young girl and said, he had initially planned to wait until the celebration was almost over to find an opportunity to speak to Lu Chongqing about this. But he had not anticipated the Zheng family ancestor, a Foundation establishment ancestor himself, to do such a thing. Thus, he didn't want to wait any longer and promptly brought his niece forward. Master Lu, my daughter also fell in love with Master Lu at first sight and wishes to serve the master. Master Lu, my niece is all alone in this world, and upon seeing Master Lu today, she has fallen in love and wishes to attend to you, pour your tea, warm your bed. Seeing this, a few others standing nearby stepped up with their accompanying young women, speaking out one after another. Moreover, since he was preparing to establish a family, he also needed some allies, a network of relationships. And marital alliances were the best method to establish such a network. Even if he didn't take them now, in the future, if he wanted his offspring to marry women with clear backgrounds and spiritual roots, the best method would also be to form marital alliances with other cultivation families. For the sake of the family, for the sake of the children, I as an old father can only humiliate myself, Lu Chongqing sighed inwardly. Then, he cupped his hands together and said, "Am flattered by the affections of all the young ladies, but there are already many wives and concubines in the Lu household. Although he intended to take in a few girls, he couldn't just agree as soon as they asked, could he? Wouldn't that make it seem like he was too lustful and degrade his status?" However, before Lu Chongsheng could finish speaking, someone immediately said, "It is an honor for my daughter to serve Master Lu. To be a mere maidservant is enough, how can we ask for a status?" Hiss, this head of the Luo family is ruthless, actually not even vying for the status of a concubine for his own daughter. The others from smaller energy refining families found the Luo family head's words quite extreme when he spoke. They also harbored the thought of not competing for status, but thought to at least request the position of a concubine. They couldn't truly let their precious descendants serve others as maidservants. After all, the descendants they chose to bring, although not the seeds of their families, were still some of the better sprouts of their households. Since the Luo family head is so generous, it would be rude to decline such earnest offer. "I will humbly accept." Lu Chongqing, seeing the man so accommodating, also nodded his head. After speaking, he added, "When there's time later, we can exchange more insights about the talisman path." Since they were sending a daughter over to be a maidservant, he also had to show some proper attitude in return. "Master Lu, my daughter feels the same. Master Lu, my niece feels the same." The others also voiced out one after another. This put Elder Zheng of the Zheng family and the Bai family head in a slightly awkward position. The others were just small energy refining families with lesser influence, willing to lower their status before Lu Chongqing, a second-rank talisman master. But their Zheng and Bai families were, after all, well-known and reputable. If an elder of the family or a family head were to humiliate themselves by offering their own direct daughters to Lu Chongqing as maidservants, it would be somewhat shameful. "I've been smitten with Miss Yongwan and Miss Feifei at first sight and willing to take them as concubines. I wonder if the two ladies would be willing?" Lu Chongqing, noticing Elder Zheng's and the Bai family head's embarrassment, volunteered. Annexing Red Leaf Valley was still included in his contingency plans. Therefore, he was also willing to foster a good relationship with the Zheng and Bai families. Moreover, judging by their appearances and cultivation levels, he believed that Zheng Yongwan and Bai Feifei were likely to have middle-grade spiritual roots. Thus, taking the two as secondary concubines would be quite suitable. Upon hearing this, both women felt a slight relief in their hearts. Both of them, after all, were direct descendants of foundation establishment families. Although willing to marry Lu Chongqing, to become maidservants like those from smaller families was still slightly bitter to them. Ill abide by the elder's decision, ill abide by the head's decision. The two women did not directly respond but spoke softly with their heads bowed. "He, good. If that's so, then this matter is settled." Elder Zheng and the Bai family head immediately showed smiles upon seeing this, and indicated that, concubinage notwithstanding, they would still interact with Lu Chongqing as equals in the future. The other families, seeing this scene, did not say much. Knowing that the Zheng and Bai families were foundation establishment families, not something their own families could compare with. Lu Yuanzhong was very generous and allocated a plot of land in Qingzhou Valley for Lu Chongqing, so that another large estate could be built for him. She must be pregnant by now, right? After a month of effort, Lu Chongqing felt that Zheng Yongwan and Bai Feifei were likely with child. He didn't linger any longer. After arranging household affairs, he set off for the Red Leaf Valley market. He had been home for quite a long time after all. In a few more months, Xiao Xie would be returning to Qingyun sect, and he wanted to accompany her. Upon arriving at the Red Leaf Valley Market riding an iron feather eagle, Lu Chongxing first visited his peace talisman hall. He informed Gao He that his spiritual talisman shop would now sell 1 second-rank talisman to the public every month. The number of supreme first-grade talismans was raised to 8 per month. He also instructed Gao He to help him purchase second-grade talisman making materials on a long-term basis. Now that he had the 99 mystical talisman scripture and the method of talisman refinement formation, his need for second-grade talismans had greatly increased. He planned to carry several hundred second-grade talismans with him at all times. This way, if he encountered a nascent soul immortal, he could rely on the talisman formation to have some means of self-protection. After discussing matters with Gao He, Lu Chongxing also inquired about his son, Lu Xianzi's well-being. He took his son to the 3rd floor and taught him about the knowledge of puppets. The craft of puppet making, although not highly profitable, just earned a modest income. However, the cost of learning was also relatively low. That's because, when crafting puppets, if a mistake is made in one of the steps and it fails, only some of the materials are lost and most can still be reused. Unlike talisman making and alchemy, once those fail, all materials are basically wasted, burning through money rapidly. Xianji, don't just stay inside the shop every day. Go out more when you have time. If you see a girl you fancy, you can also talk to your father about it. After teaching about puppets, Lu Chongxing said this to his son, Lu Xianji. His son was also 16 years old. It was time to consider marriage. Though many cultivators didn't marry for a lifetime to focus on their cultivation, or they only settled down when they were in their 40s or 50s, for someone like Lu Xianji, Lu Chongxing still hoped his son would start a family early. Dad, I understand. In his youth, Lu Xianji had been rather naughty, but as he grew older and more sensible, his personality became more stable and restrained. As long as you understand, I'm not rushing you. I'm just hoping you'll also think about this aspect, Lu Chongxing said, nodding. His child was only 16. He wasn't truly in a rush yet. Dad, rest assured, I understand, Lu Xianji said with a smile, nodding in agreement. After Lu Chongxing finished explaining, Lu Miaoge looked at his exceptionally handsome profile and became slightly entranced. She recalled the moments from when she first met Lu Chongxing until now. From the initial impression of not bad to a person not bad, to the exasperation of his indulgence in the company of women. Then seeing his rapid progress on the talisman path, leading to an air of mystery. Not only did he save her from a life-threatening situation, but he also provided the 3 Suns elixir, an exquisite level cultivation method, and a rare treasure such as the treasure-seeking mouse. Now, he was imparting such a talisman path inheritance, teaching her the profound truths of the talisman path. Being able to comprehend and understand this spiritual pattern so thoroughly made her feel that Lu Chongxing was definitely not as simple as just advancing to 2nd-grade talisman master. What's wrong? Suddenly looking at me like that? Lu Chongxing, seeing Lu Miaoge's beautiful eyes brimming with admiration, couldn't help but smile and ask, I just feel that you have become more and more impressive, Chongxing. Lu Miaoge said with a lovely smile in a soft voice. Sister Miaoge, I have some secrets and fortunes. But don't worry, I will tell you all about these secrets and fortunes in the future. Lu Chongxing knew that explaining the spiritual pattern had caused Lu Miaoge to be puzzled and skeptical, which was normal. Even just a basic spiritual pattern from the 99 mystical talisman scripture was extremely profound. Not something that someone who had just advanced to 2nd-grade talisman master could fully comprehend. I know, Chongxing. If there's something weighing on your heart, you can always talk to me about it. Lu Miaoge's eyes were moist and her demeanor gentle as water, as she spoke softly, adding, We are husband and wife. Sister Miaoge. Hearing this, Lu Chongxing's heart warmed. The strength, treasures, and secrets brought by the system, which he had always kept hidden in his heart for fear that revealing them would cause trouble, were indeed tiring. But fortunately, he had his wives to ensure he had no other worries in his daily life. Looking at his wife in front of him, he embraced her graceful and delicate body and kissed her deeply on the lips. Changsheng. Lu Miaoge hadn't expected that after just having been intimate, Lu Changsheng would want her again. Combining the transmission of Tao and pleasure, it might actually help with understanding spiritual patterns, he whispered into her ear, his breath hot. Faced with Lu Changsheng's instruction, Lu Miaoge could only half close her eyes languidly, gently biting her lip and listen intently. But because the teachings were so profound, she also felt the strain of learning, her body covered in fragrant sweat. As a disciple of the immortal sex, given tasks and a territory to defend, she couldn't possibly stay outside for long. Changsheng, you should have brought Fairy Xiao and the child over together. Lu Miaoge cooed to the child, her voice soft. Fairy Xiao must be worried about the child returning to Qing Yun's sect alone. If she had come together with us, we could have talked to her, got to know each other a little, and she would feel more at ease about the child. Lu Miaoge continued to speak in her gentle way. You never brought it up before, and I didn't realize it either. Lu Changsheng, having heard this, felt it was indeed the case. Even though he was the father, he knew he wouldn't have time to take care of the child all the time, and it was certain that he would have to leave the child in the care of his wives and concubines. And among his wives and concubines, Xiao Xie had only met Lu Miaoge. Just brief encounters without much understanding. No doubt she felt less at ease. How could you let Fairy Xiao take the initiative to speak up about such a matter?